What if the reality you perceive is not the ultimate truth, but a carefully constructed illusion? What if there existed a powerful spiritual system, deliberately suppressed, that held the key to unlocking your true potential? This isn't a mere academic exercise in ancient history, but rather an urgent unveiling of a revolutionary philosophy that was deemed so dangerous, its very existence was nearly erased from the annals of time. A system that could shatter the foundations of your understanding and set you free. We are about to delve into the story of Gnosticism, a spiritual tradition that challenged the core tenets of its time, presenting a radical alternative to the prevailing beliefs of the Roman Empire and early Christianity, and that continues to challenge the limits of our modern reality. The Gnostic worldview revolves around a fundamental duality, a profound tension between spirit and matter. A battleground where the divine spark within us struggles against the limitations of the physical world, with this very struggle being the essence of our existence. This powerful philosophical framework was not just a set of abstract ideas, but a comprehensive path towards liberation and self-mastery. However, its revolutionary nature posed a direct threat to the established power structures, leading to its brutal and systematic suppression. But why does this matter to you today? The suppression of Gnostic wisdom has had far-reaching consequences, shaping the very fabric of Western thought and spirituality. It has perpetuated a distorted view of reality, leading to a deep sense of disconnection and spiritual slumber that many feel today. The ideas that were silenced then are not merely historical artifacts. They represent a vital missing piece in the puzzle of human potential and understanding. The knowledge embedded within Gnostic teachings provides a blueprint for personal freedom, offering profound tools for self-transformation, revealing the path to a deeper self-awareness and an understanding of your own inherent power. It posits that each of us carries a divine spark, a fragment of the true God trapped within the confines of the material world. This is not a metaphor. It is the very core of the Gnostic vision, emphasizing that you are not merely a physical being, but an expression of divinity itself. This idea has the potential to completely reframe our understanding of self and purpose, placing the responsibility for awakening upon each one of us individually. The rediscovery of the Nag Hammadi library in the mid-20th century brought to light a vast collection of Gnostic texts that had been hidden for millennia, providing us with a window into this lost world. These texts are not mere relics of the past, but rather essential sources of profound knowledge, challenging conventional interpretations of the Bible and offering a radically different perspective on the nature of creation itself. The Gnostics believed that the material world was not the creation of the true God, but rather the work of a flawed and lesser deity known as the demiurge. This demiurge, often identified with the Old Testament God, was seen as an ignorant and tyrannical force, trapping the divine essence within the confines of physical existence. According to Gnostic teachings, this material world is a place of illusion and bondage, a labyrinth of deception that keeps us from perceiving the true spiritual reality. This view presents a stark contrast to mainstream religions, which typically view the material world as part of a divine plan, emphasizing instead that true liberation can be found within, through a direct connection to our divine nature. In that sense, the Gnostic journey is a path of awakening, a journey of the soul from its divine origins to its entrapment in this illusory world, and its eventual return to the true God, which is the ultimate goal of every Gnostic. So why were these ideas deemed so dangerous, so threatening to the established power structures of the time that it led to the deliberate suppression of the Gnostic movement? What is it about this powerful teaching that those in power sought to completely erase from human memory? These are not idle questions. They are vital to understanding not just the history of Gnosticism, but the very nature of power itself. The Gnostic perspective has not completely vanished from the world, as many esoteric traditions and secret societies kept its flame alive through the ages. In fact, many well-known secret societies of the last several centuries have drawn heavily from Gnostic principles in their own rituals, in their own symbolism, and in their own spiritual practices. This hints at a persistent hidden current of wisdom running throughout history, waiting to be rediscovered. The Gnostic teachings are not just about ancient myths and abstract philosophies, but hold deep symbolic meaning and hidden layers of understanding that are still relevant to the human experience if we are willing to explore them. Prepare yourself to dive deep as we begin this journey, because what you are about to discover is not just a forgotten history, but a practical path to personal liberation that will show you how to awaken your own divine potential and integrate this revolutionary understanding into your daily life. Let us now delve deeper into the heart of Gnostic cosmology and explore the role of the demiurge, the flawed creator of the material world. In Gnostic thought, the demiurge is not the supreme god, but rather a lower, ignorant deity, a being of limited understanding who mistakenly believes himself to be the ultimate creator. This fundamental distinction is absolutely critical to grasping the Gnostic view of reality, because it is this very ignorance that gives rise to the imperfections and suffering of the world that we experience daily. The demiurge, often identified with the God of the Old Testament, is depicted as a jealous, controlling, and capricious entity, a stark contrast to the true God of perfect light, love, and wisdom. This difference is not a mere theological debate, but a fundamental reevaluation of the very nature of good and evil and how those forces play out in our existence, in the very structures of our perceived reality. The Gnostics argued that by mistaking the demiurge for the supreme god, humanity has been trapped in a cycle of ignorance and suffering, blindly following a limited and flawed source of authority. This belief challenges the very core of traditional religious dogma, offering an alternative understanding of the creation and our place within it. Contrast this limited and flawed creation with the pleroma, the realm of perfect light and true divinity from which all things originate. The pleroma is not a physical place, but a state of being, a realm of pure spirit, wisdom, and consciousness, far beyond the reach of the demiurge. It is the source of all truth, love, and true being, the ultimate reality that transcends the limitations of our material world. This vast and incomprehensible realm is populated by beings of pure light, known as the eons, each representing different attributes and aspects of the divine. These eons are not simply mythological figures, but rather archetypal energies and emanations of the true God, each playing a crucial role in the unfolding of the cosmos. One of the most prominent of these eons is Sophia, whose story illustrates the complexity and depth of Gnostic cosmology. Sophia, in her desire to know the true God, is said to have fallen from the pleroma, leading to the creation of the demiurge and the material world, demonstrating that creation itself was not a planned action of the supreme God, but an act of error, an imperfection, and a distortion of the true spiritual realm. This fall of Sophia serves as a potent allegory, representing the separation of our own divine essence from its source. It provides insight into how we as individuals may have also, in a sense, fallen from the true realm into the confines of ignorance and limitation, trapped in the demiurge's distorted reality. According to the Gnostic understanding, creation is not a deliberate act of divine will, but rather a cosmic error, a distortion of the perfect light of the pleroma. The demiurge, in his ignorance, created a world that is a mere imitation of the true spiritual realm, a shadow of the divine reality. This material world, according to this understanding, is a place of illusion and suffering, designed to keep humanity trapped in a cycle of ignorance. This idea challenges the very foundations of traditional thought, suggesting that the world we perceive with our senses is not the ultimate reality, but rather a construct, an illusion designed to keep us from realizing our true potential. Have you ever felt that the world around you is not quite what it seems? Have you ever sensed a disconnect between the surface level of reality and some deeper, unacknowledged truth? This feeling, according to the Gnostics, is the echo of our true selves, yearning to return to the pleroma, to the source of our divine being. The Gnostic perspective invites us to examine our own lives and to recognize how we may be trapped in the demiurge's world. We find ourselves constantly bombarded with distractions and illusions that keep us from looking inward, from realizing our own divine essence. Think of the endless pursuit of material possessions, the constant seeking of external validation, the feeling of disconnection, the fear of death, and the constant distractions that pull us from focusing on what truly matters. These are all reflections of our entrapment in a world that is not our true home, a world designed to keep us from awakening to our real nature. The Gnostic view reveals that the very nature of our reality is far more complex and profound than we have been led to believe. The Gnostics believed that within each human being lies a divine spark, a fragment of the true God that has been trapped within the material body. This divine spark, known as the pneuma, is not the same as the soul or psyche, but rather a piece of pure consciousness, a link to the realm of the pleroma. The soul or psyche is seen as a lower aspect of our being, connected to the material world and the demiurge, while the pneuma represents our true divine essence. It is the part of us that yearns for freedom, for truth, and for union with the divine. The Gnostics understood that a human being is a composite of these elements: the material body, the soul or psyche, and the divine spark or pneuma. It is through the awakening of the pneuma that we can begin to break free from the limitations of our material existence. This distinction is crucial because it emphasizes the true nature of our being, reminding us that we are not merely physical bodies or emotional creatures, but rather expressions of the divine. This idea has profound implications for our understanding of the self, for it challenges us to look beyond our superficial identity and connect with our true divine essence, an essence that resides at the core of our being, waiting to be awakened. The Gnostic narrative is essentially the journey of the soul, specifically the pneuma, from its divine origins to its eventual return to the true God. This journey is not a literal path, but rather a metaphor for the process of spiritual awakening, a process in which we gradually realize our true nature and break free from the limitations of the material world. The pneuma, originally existing in the realm of the pleroma, becomes trapped in the material body, caught in the cycle of suffering and illusion. The Gnostic path is that of liberation, an attempt to awaken the divine spark within and free it from the constraints of ignorance and the illusion of the material realm. This is not a passive process, but an active engagement in the journey of self-discovery and the application of specific techniques that help the soul realize its true divine nature. This journey calls for deep self-reflection, for the rigorous examination of one's beliefs, and the application of Gnostic practices, all aimed to help the pneuma break free and return to its source. The Gnostics understood that the path to liberation lies in the awakening of the divine spark, not in blind faith or adherence to dogma, but through personal experience and direct knowledge. This self-mastery is not only possible, but absolutely essential for our spiritual evolution, emphasizing that each of us holds within us the power to transcend the limitations of the material world and connect with our true divine nature. Gnosis, or true knowledge, is the key that unlocks the power of the pneuma. The suppression of Gnosticism by early church authorities was not a random act, but rather a deliberate effort to maintain their own power and control over the populace. The Gnostic teachings presented a direct challenge to the Church's authority, for they emphasized personal experience and direct knowledge as the path to spiritual liberation, rather than blind faith and obedience to religious dogma. This empowerment of the individual was seen as a direct threat to the established order, as it undermined the Church's claim to be the sole intermediary between humanity and God. The Church's fear was not merely a theological disagreement, but a strategic move to protect its power base. In order to do this effectively, the Church engaged in a systematic campaign to discredit Gnostic teachings, portraying them as heretical, dangerous, and even demonic. Gnostic texts were actively destroyed, their followers persecuted, and their ideas deliberately distorted, which was a concerted effort to erase Gnostic thought from human history. These acts of violence, censorship, and misrepresentation were not isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern of suppression designed to keep people from questioning authority. This demonstrates a clear understanding of how easily knowledge can be twisted and manipulated in order to maintain power, how easily a system of thought can be eliminated simply by mischaracterizing its core values. Specific examples of the Church's suppression of Gnosticism abound throughout history. Gnostic texts, such as the Gospel of Thomas and the Secret Book of John, were deemed heretical and banned, often leading to their destruction. Gnostic teachers were persecuted, their writings condemned, and their followers ostracized. The Church deliberately misrepresented Gnostic teachings, portraying them as promoting immorality and heresy. This is a strategic mischaracterization, designed to turn people away from the path of knowledge and self-discovery, and instead push them towards adherence to a system of dogma and unquestioning faith. The Church's actions were not merely a response to theological disagreements, but a calculated move to consolidate power. By suppressing Gnostic thought, the Church was able to establish itself as the sole authority on spiritual matters, effectively controlling the narrative and ensuring its own dominance. This suppression was not just about religious doctrine, but also about the control of information and the maintenance of social order. The Gnostic teachings challenged not only the authority of the Church, but also the political authority of the Roman Empire, which further contributed to the drive to completely eradicate their existence. The Gnostics' emphasis on individual freedom and spiritual enlightenment was a direct threat to the power structures of the time, a threat that those in power were determined to eliminate. These were not simply matters of religious difference, but fundamental challenges to the very nature of power itself. These historical events are not simply relics of the past, they are also reflections of patterns that persist even today. Systems of control and manipulation, although they may manifest in different forms, are still prevalent. Think of the way that information is controlled and distorted by mainstream media, the way that political leaders use propaganda to manipulate public opinion, and the way that large corporations influence our thoughts and behaviors through advertising. These are all modern-day examples of the same types of control that were used to suppress Gnostic thought in ancient times. The suppression of Gnosticism was a historical event that serves as a potent example of how easily knowledge can be twisted and manipulated for the sake of power, a lesson that is vitally important to understand in our current age. By understanding the strategies used to suppress Gnostic thought, we can become more aware of similar tactics employed today. This historical understanding empowers us, making us less susceptible to manipulation and more capable of critical thinking. The lessons of Gnosticism are not limited to ancient history, but rather are directly applicable to our modern lives. It is only by understanding the past that we can truly navigate the present with awareness and discernment. It is important to note that the core ideas of Gnosticism did not disappear completely, but rather persisted throughout history in various esoteric traditions. Gnostic principles can be found in Hermeticism, Kabbalah, and other mystical systems. These traditions, while often operating outside the mainstream, have kept the flame of Gnostic wisdom alive through the ages. The recurring themes, concepts, and symbols across these different spiritual systems reveals a universal pattern and an underlying truth. The symbolic language of Gnosticism, such as the serpent, the tree of knowledge, and the light, can be found across numerous traditions and cultures. These symbols are not arbitrary, but rather archetypal representations of deeper truths, pointing toward the underlying fabric of the universe. The serpent, for example, often symbolizes wisdom and transformation, challenging the commonly held view of it as a symbol of evil, revealing layers of deeper meaning that have been purposefully obscured. Likewise, the tree of knowledge, rather than being the source of original sin, represents the awakening of consciousness and the recognition of our true nature, which is in direct opposition to the conventional interpretation. These symbols, when properly understood, can provide profound insights into our own spiritual journey. The Gnostic understanding of light as representing true knowledge and awareness is a recurring theme across all of these traditions, emphasizing that true liberation comes through the awakening of our inner light. There is much speculation that secret societies, such as the Rosicrucians and Freemasons, have been instrumental in preserving Gnostic knowledge throughout the centuries. These societies, often shrouded in mystery, are said to have maintained a continuous thread of esoteric wisdom through their hidden rituals and initiations. These societies offered a refuge for those who were seeking a deeper understanding of the universe, a space where they could safely explore spiritual truth without fear of persecution from established power structures. This continuity of hidden knowledge is a testament to the enduring power of Gnostic ideas, suggesting that truth, even when suppressed, always finds a way to surface. These hidden channels have not only preserved this wisdom, but have also contributed to its evolution, adapting and refining these ancient teachings for modern times. This preservation of esoteric knowledge emphasizes the importance of looking beyond the surface of things, of seeking deeper meaning, and of recognizing the value of traditions that operate outside the mainstream. This continuity demonstrates how the quest for spiritual truth transcends time, how the pursuit of self-discovery is a continuous process that is passed on from generation to generation. The Gnostic perspective emphasizes that the material world is a temporary illusion, a construct created by the demiurge to keep us trapped in a cycle of suffering and ignorance. It is not the true reality, and it is not our true home. The true reality lies within, in the realm of spirit, in the divine spark that dwells within each of us. This reorientation of perspective is a vital shift, as it places the focus on inner work and personal transformation, which is essential for realizing our true potential. This is the key to breaking free from the illusion of the material world and to begin the process of spiritual awakening. We must look within and connect with our divine spark. We must cultivate our inner knowing and begin to see the world through the eyes of our true spiritual selves. The Gnostic path is not about escaping the material world, but about transforming our experience of it, about realizing that it is not the ultimate reality. In the next section, we will shift our focus from understanding to doing, as we begin to explore specific Gnostic practices for self-mastery and liberation, the very tools that will allow you to connect with your divine potential and break free from the illusion of this reality. Prepare to take the next step on this journey of self-discovery, for the path to awakening is now within your reach. The power is, and always has been, within you. Let us now move from understanding the Gnostic cosmology to applying its principles in our daily lives. For the true power of Gnosticism lies not merely in theory, but in the practical application of its wisdom, in the very techniques that can set us free. The Gnostics developed specific methods for inner exploration and self-realization, designed to help individuals connect with their divine spark and break free from the illusion of the material world. One such practice is a unique form of meditation, focused on separating the pneuma from the psyche, on discerning the difference between your true, divine essence and the limitations of your material self. This practice is not about emptying the mind, but about observing it with clarity, recognizing the thoughts and emotions that arise without getting caught in their web. This method calls for a deep level of self-awareness, a conscious separation of the observer from the observed. By recognizing that the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that arise are not who we truly are, that they are simply passing phenomena, you begin to free yourself from the grip of the demiurge's creation, gradually disentangling your pneuma from the limitations of the psyche. Think of it as separating the wheat from the chaff, allowing the pure kernel of your true self to shine through. This meditation technique is a powerful tool for self-mastery, a practical method for realizing your divine potential, and it serves as a bridge between Gnostic theory and the action you can take right now to change your life. It is not enough to simply understand the concepts. You must actively engage with them to truly embody their power, to unlock your own potential. Gnostic traditions emphasize the importance of self-reflection and contemplation as methods for recognizing our divine spark. These are not passive exercises, but active explorations of our inner landscape, requiring us to confront our beliefs, our emotions, and our habits. Through careful introspection, we can begin to identify the limiting beliefs that keep us trapped in the illusion of the material world. These are often deeply ingrained patterns of thought, the very mental habits that reinforce the demiurge's flawed creation. These beliefs are not truths, but merely constructs, ideas that have been conditioned into us through our upbringing, our culture, and our experiences, many of which we have never challenged or examined. Gnostic self-reflection involves questioning these constructs, asking yourself if they are really your own or simply echoes of the world around you, of what you have been conditioned to believe. This is a process of excavation, of digging deep within to uncover the source of your beliefs, and to separate those that serve you from those that keep you bound. This requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to confront the darker aspects of your own psyche, but the reward is immeasurable. By challenging our limiting beliefs, we begin to create space for the divine spark to grow, by clearing away the debris that obscures its light. This inner work is a conscious effort to reclaim your own mind, to become the master of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. The process of reprogramming limiting beliefs is not about suppressing your thoughts, but about transforming them. It involves recognizing the underlying patterns that shape your reality, and consciously choosing to replace them with new, empowering beliefs that align with your true, divine nature. Think of your mind as a garden. You must carefully tend to it, weeding out the unwanted plants and cultivating the ones that produce nourishing fruit. And just as a gardener carefully chooses what to plant, you can consciously choose the beliefs you wish to nurture. This requires mindfulness, being present in each moment, observing your thoughts as they arise, and noticing the ones that reinforce your limitations and the ones that expand your potential. When you identify a limiting belief, you can challenge its validity, question its origins, and choose a new belief that supports your highest vision of yourself, allowing you to gradually reshape your inner world, your reality. This is a practice of intention, a conscious effort to create a new reality from the inside out, guided by a clear vision of your own divine potential. These beliefs are not just empty words, but powerful forces that shape your experience. By choosing your beliefs wisely, you can take control of your destiny and manifest the reality that you desire. Gnostic practices are not solely focused on the mind, but also on the mastery of emotions, recognizing that our emotions can be powerful forces that either bind us to the material world or liberate us from its illusion. Emotional mastery does not mean suppressing or denying our feelings, but rather understanding them, observing them with detachment, and choosing how we respond to them. Many of our emotional responses are conditioned, patterns of behavior that are deeply ingrained in our subconscious, often stemming from past traumas and experiences that have shaped our perspective. Gnostic practices offer a way to understand the origins of these patterns, to unravel their influence, and to choose a new way of being. This means becoming aware of our emotional triggers, learning to observe our reactions without judgment, and choosing to respond with love, compassion, and understanding, rather than fear, anger, or resentment. This is a profound transformation, a movement from reaction to conscious response. By understanding and mastering our emotions, we begin to transcend the limitations of our body and our ego, connecting more deeply with the divine essence that resides within. This is a path of inner work, one that calls for patience, persistence, and self-compassion. Gnostic symbolism provides another powerful tool for inner exploration and self-realization, as the Gnostics understood that symbols are not just arbitrary representations, but rather keys to unlocking deeper levels of understanding. These symbols, carefully crafted over millennia, are a language of the subconscious, communicating directly with our innermost being, bypassing the limitations of the rational mind. Think of the serpent as a symbol of wisdom, the cross as a symbol of balance, or the light as a symbol of knowledge. These symbols are not static, but rather dynamic forces that can awaken new levels of awareness within us. By understanding the symbolic language of Gnosticism, we can access hidden layers of meaning within our own experiences, revealing insights that might otherwise remain concealed, unlocking pathways towards self-knowledge and purpose. Each symbol is an invitation for contemplation, a doorway into a deeper understanding of the universe and our place within it. Engaging with these symbols is not just an intellectual exercise, but rather a spiritual practice that can transform the way we perceive reality, helping us to move from the limitations of the material world to the expansiveness of the spiritual. Gnostic ethics, in stark contrast to traditional religious views, places the emphasis on personal responsibility for one's spiritual journey. There is no savior, no external authority, no divine figure that can grant salvation, for the Gnostics believed that each individual holds the power to liberate themselves. This is a radical departure from the common idea of relying on external figures or institutions for spiritual guidance. Instead, the Gnostic path calls for inner work, for the cultivation of self-awareness and the pursuit of knowledge, challenging the very foundations of institutionalized religion. This emphasis on individual responsibility is a powerful message, reminding us that we are not helpless victims of circumstance, but rather co-creators of our own reality. This approach is empowering, putting the responsibility for our spiritual development firmly in our own hands, placing the ultimate authority within, not outside ourselves. You hold the keys to your liberation, no one else can do the work for you, and no dogma or doctrine can truly guide you. That is something only you can do for yourself. The Gnostic view of material desires and attachments is critical to understanding the path to liberation. The Gnostics saw material possessions, worldly achievements, and even emotional attachments as binding forces that keep us trapped in the demiurge's creation. These things, while often seen as sources of happiness and fulfillment, are actually chains that weigh us down, distracting us from our true spiritual purpose. The desire for material gain is seen as a constant cycle of seeking that never truly satisfies, a never-ending quest for something that will always be fleeting, and so it keeps us attached to the illusion of this world. Emotional attachments can be even more binding, as they create dependencies that limit our freedom and our awareness. Gnostic teachings emphasize the importance of detachment, not as a denial of the world, but as a way of freeing ourselves from its control. This means recognizing the impermanence of all things, cultivating a sense of inner peace, and finding satisfaction within ourselves, rather than in external sources. This is a practice of letting go, of releasing our grip on the things that keep us bound, and recognizing the true abundance that exists within. This inner freedom is a reflection of our true divine nature, the very state of being we are trying to reclaim. Gnostic ethics promotes individual empowerment by emphasizing the importance of personal discernment and the rejection of blind faith, because it challenges the common notion that we should simply accept what we are told without questioning it. Instead, it calls for a rigorous examination of our beliefs, a willingness to challenge the status quo, and a commitment to pursuing the truth for ourselves. This is a path of self-discovery, one that requires us to think critically, to question authority, and to trust our own inner knowing. This rejection of blind faith is not an act of rebellion, but rather an act of self-respect, for it recognizes that each of us has the capacity to discern what is true and what is false. This is an act of liberation, a rejection of dogma, and a recognition of our own intellectual and spiritual sovereignty. By exercising our own discernment, we become active participants in our spiritual journey, rather than passive followers of others' beliefs. You have the ability, and it is your responsibility, to determine what is true for yourself. Gnostic thought, by its very nature, is a direct challenge to external hierarchies and power structures. The Gnostics recognized that those in power often use manipulation, control, and fear to maintain their dominance, and that systems of authority are not always aligned with our highest good, often perpetuating ignorance and limiting our freedom. This is why Gnostic thought has been seen as such a threat throughout history, for its emphasis on individual empowerment and direct knowledge undermines the very foundation of oppressive authorities, exposing their methods of control. The Church understood this threat, and that's why they sought to suppress Gnostic teachings. The Gnostic emphasis on inner knowing and the rejection of external authority posed a significant challenge to the Church's claim to be the sole intermediary between humanity and God. This historical tension is a clear demonstration of the inherent conflict between spiritual freedom and the control of power structures. By recognizing the underlying dynamics of these systems of power, we become better equipped to resist their influence, empowering ourselves and recognizing that we have the power to break free. This is not just a lesson from the past, but a warning that is vitally relevant in the modern world. The specific teachings of Gnosticism that promote self-knowledge, free will, and the pursuit of truth all provide a moral compass distinct from traditional religious commandments. Gnostic ethics is not about following a set of rules, but about aligning our actions with our true, divine nature. This means acting from a place of love, compassion, and understanding, rather than fear, judgment, or self-interest. This requires a deep understanding of ourselves, of our motivations, and our patterns of behavior, along with a commitment to truth and authenticity. Gnostic ethics emphasizes the importance of free will, the ability to choose our own path, and to create our own destiny. This is not a passive acceptance of fate, but rather an active engagement in the process of self-creation, guided by the wisdom of our own inner knowing. The pursuit of truth is a lifelong journey, not a destination. It is a constant process of inquiry, exploration, and self-discovery. This is the essence of the Gnostic path, a commitment to living authentically in alignment with our true spiritual essence. This is not only a moral imperative, but a powerful tool for personal transformation and spiritual liberation. Let's delve further into the historical narrative, uncovering additional examples of the deliberate suppression of Gnosticism, highlighting the lengths to which those in power went to extinguish its flame. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD is a pivotal event in the history of Christianity, and also a significant moment in the suppression of Gnostic thought. For this council was not a gathering of objective scholars seeking the truth, but rather a political maneuver by Emperor Constantine to consolidate power, while standardizing Christian doctrine. This council established a specific interpretation of Christianity, one that aligned with the interests of the Roman Empire and labeled all other views as heresy. This had devastating implications for Gnostic thought, which was actively condemned, its texts destroyed, and its followers persecuted. This was not merely a theological debate, but a systematic effort to control the narrative, to impose a specific worldview upon the masses, and to suppress any alternative interpretations of the spiritual path. The implications of the Council of Nicaea are still felt today, as the orthodox Christian doctrines that were established at that time continue to shape the beliefs and practices of millions of people. This historical event clearly demonstrates the power of organized religion to control and manipulate spiritual truth. Historical figures who were targeted for their Gnostic views stand as testaments to the courage and conviction of those who stood for truth in the face of oppression. Individuals like Valentinus, Basilides, and Marcion, among others, who dared to challenge the prevailing orthodoxies of their time. These figures were not simply heretics, but rather seekers of deeper understanding, individuals who were committed to the pursuit of truth and self-discovery. Their teachings, though often distorted by their opponents, represent a powerful challenge to the authority of the Church and the power structures of the Roman Empire. These Gnostic teachers faced persecution, violence, and even death for their beliefs, yet their courage continues to inspire seekers of truth even today. The persecution of these individuals was not just a matter of religious intolerance, but rather a reflection of the fear that those in power had of independent thought and spiritual freedom. This is a lesson in the risks involved in seeking truth, but also a demonstration of the enduring power of the human spirit when aligned with its true essence to overcome all obstacles in the face of such adversity. The methods of control used to suppress Gnosticism have not disappeared with time, they have simply adapted to modern contexts. The manipulation of information through media, the propagation of fear by political leaders, and the conditioning of thought through education and advertising are all modern-day echoes of the same tactics that were used to suppress Gnostic thought in ancient times. Think of the constant bombardment of news headlines that create a state of anxiety, the endless stream of advertisements that promote consumerism and materialism, and the subtle messages that reinforce conformity and obedience. These are all examples of how our thoughts and beliefs are shaped by forces outside of our own conscious awareness. The parallels between ancient and modern forms of control are clear. We are constantly being told what to think, what to believe, and what to desire, and often these messages do not align with our true spiritual nature. This recognition of the historical patterns of control empowers us to become more aware of the methods that are being used to manipulate us, allowing us to resist their influence. This vigilance is essential because until we understand the very nature of the forces that control us, we can never be truly free. The role of media and education systems in shaping perceptions and maintaining a worldview that benefits the demiurge and its power structures cannot be ignored. The media, often controlled by a few powerful corporations, shapes public opinion, pushing narratives that serve their interests, while censoring information that challenges their dominance. Similarly, many of our educational institutions, designed to train people for conformity rather than critical thinking, often reinforce the same patterns. These systems present a view of reality that is limited and materialistic, one that perpetuates the illusion that we are separate from our true spiritual essence. It's not a conscious conspiracy, but rather the result of a complex web of societal and economic forces that benefit from keeping the population in a state of ignorance. Recognizing these influences is essential for breaking free from them. It's about understanding how these systems affect our thinking and our beliefs. This awareness is the first step toward taking control of our minds and creating our own reality. This is why it is so important to seek out alternative sources of information and to cultivate the ability to discern for ourselves what is true, to think critically, to challenge authority, and to trust your own inner knowing. The systematic suppression of alternative spiritual knowledge goes far beyond the persecution of the Gnostics and also extends to other mystical and esoteric traditions throughout history. The destruction of sacred texts, the misrepresentation of spiritual teachers, and the active suppression of any information that challenges the status quo is a pattern that repeats itself throughout human history, a concerted effort to keep humanity in a state of spiritual ignorance. This is not merely a random occurrence, but a deliberate strategy by those who seek to maintain their power. The suppression of alternative spiritual knowledge demonstrates the lengths to which those in power will go to control the narrative and to prevent people from awakening to their true potential. This understanding exposes the depth and breadth of this ancient cover-up. Recognizing this systematic suppression is crucial. It's an awareness that empowers us to actively seek out hidden knowledge and to reclaim our own spiritual freedom. This is not merely an intellectual pursuit, but a radical act of liberation, of reclaiming our own minds and spirits. The path toward truth often lies outside of the mainstream and requires a genuine commitment to explore the hidden corners of knowledge and awareness. Let's now delve into the continuity of hidden knowledge and examine the role of secret societies and esoteric traditions in preserving the wisdom of Gnosticism throughout the ages, as Gnostic principles were not confined to the ancient world, but rather persisted through hidden channels and secret societies like the Rosicrucians, Freemasons, and other esoteric orders, who are said to have carried the torch of Gnostic wisdom throughout history. While often shrouded in mystery, these groups are believed to have preserved and transmitted Gnostic teachings through their symbolic rituals and initiations, offering a safe haven for seekers of truth and a place where they could explore the mysteries of the universe without the fear of persecution from those in power. The connections between these secret societies and Gnostic thought are speculative, yet there is evidence of recurring themes, concepts, and symbols, suggesting a common source of wisdom. These societies operated outside the mainstream, providing refuge for those seeking deeper understanding and a place to explore spiritual truths. They were not simply preserving knowledge, but also actively evolving and adapting these ancient teachings for a modern context. The very existence of these groups and the mystery that surrounds them serves as a constant reminder that there are always hidden dimensions of reality waiting to be explored. The analysis of the rituals, symbolism, and teachings of these traditions reveals recurring patterns of Gnostic thought, demonstrating the interconnectedness of various spiritual systems. The use of sacred geometry, numerology, and alchemical symbolism in these traditions is evidence of a shared understanding of the fundamental principles of the universe. The emphasis on inner transformation, the pursuit of knowledge, and the transcendence of the material world are recurring themes that appear throughout, demonstrating a deeper connection. These traditions are not isolated systems, but rather different expressions of the same underlying truth, each one a different path towards spiritual awakening. By examining the common threads that run through these various traditions, we can gain a more profound understanding of the universal truths that they embody and recognize the deeper meaning that often lies hidden from view. These patterns are not just a coincidence, they are evidence of a deeper underlying reality, an interconnected web of wisdom that transcends time and space, and it is this connection that shows that Gnostic thought is part of something much larger, a universal understanding. The Emerald Tablet, the Kybalion, and other esoteric texts serve as powerful links to the Gnostic ideas. These ancient writings are not simply abstract philosophies, but practical guides for spiritual transformation. The Emerald Tablet, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, is a concise expression of Hermetic wisdom, containing the very essence of alchemical and spiritual principles. The Kybalion, a more modern text that draws from Hermetic teachings, outlines the 7 universal principles that govern all of reality. These texts echo the Gnostic understanding of the universe as a reflection of the divine, and the individual as a microcosm of the macrocosm, emphasizing the importance of inner transformation as a means of creating change in the external world. These writings contain practical guidance for spiritual seekers, for those who seek to unravel the mysteries of the universe and the secrets of their own inner being. They are not meant to be taken literally, but rather symbolically, providing layers of meaning that can be uncovered through careful study and contemplation. The wisdom contained in these texts is a continuation of Gnostic tradition, demonstrating the enduring relevance of their ideas throughout history. The symbolic language of sacred geometry, numerology, and alchemy provide powerful ways to access deeper levels of knowledge and to apply them for spiritual transformation, as each of these practices offers a way of understanding the structure of reality and the underlying patterns that govern our universe. Sacred geometry explores the fundamental shapes and proportions that are found in nature and in the cosmos, demonstrating the underlying order and harmony that pervades all things. Numerology examines the symbolic meaning of numbers, revealing the hidden patterns and cycles that are woven into the fabric of reality, showing how numbers are not merely mathematical constructs, but rather expressions of universal principles. Alchemy, traditionally seen as the transformation of base metals into gold, is understood as a symbolic process of inner transformation, representing the journey of the soul towards spiritual perfection. These practices are not just abstract theories, but practical tools for self-discovery and spiritual transformation, offering paths for accessing hidden knowledge and understanding that lie beneath the surface of our everyday reality. They offer a way of understanding the universe in a new light, and a way of aligning ourselves with its underlying principles. The esoteric path, it must be understood, is not for everyone. It requires dedication, discipline, and a genuine desire for truth, because it is a path that demands constant effort, rigorous self-examination, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. It is not a path for the faint of heart, but rather a calling for those who are committed to their own spiritual awakening. The esoteric path is not about seeking external validation, but about seeking inner transformation. It is not about adhering to dogma or doctrine, but about exploring our own inner landscapes and discovering our own truth. This path requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to challenge your own beliefs and to step outside the boundaries of conventional thinking, but the rewards are immeasurable. The very first step in this journey is recognizing that there is more to reality than meets the eye, that the world as it appears to us is simply an illusion. If you are truly committed to the path of self-discovery, the journey begins right here, right now, with the recognition that you are more than your physical body, more than your thoughts, more than your emotions. The power to begin this journey is, and has always been, within you. Let us now focus on the practical steps you can take to initiate your own personal transformation and spiritual awakening, to activate the Gnostic principles in your own life, beginning right now. Applying the Gnostic principles in your daily life is not about adopting new belief systems, but rather about changing the way that you perceive and interact with the world. For the most important changes start within, by focusing on your inner world. By applying the techniques we have explored so far, you can begin to cultivate self-awareness, master your emotions, and reprogram the limiting beliefs that have been keeping you in the illusion of the material world. This process does not require great changes in your external circumstances, but rather a deep shift in your perspective. This inner work will lead to outer changes as your inner world begins to manifest in your external reality. You are the master of your own reality, and it is your responsibility to create a life that aligns with your true divine potential. The Gnostic path is not an escape from the world, but a transformation of your experience of it. One of the most powerful tools for liberation is the simple practice of mindfulness, for it allows you to break free from the constant stream of thoughts and emotions that distract you from your true self. Mindfulness is not about emptying the mind, but rather about observing it with detachment, recognizing that your thoughts and emotions are not who you truly are, but simply passing phenomena. By being present in each moment, you can begin to recognize the patterns of your own mind, to identify the beliefs that keep you bound, and to choose new thoughts and emotions that support your highest vision of yourself. This is the practice of being fully aware of the present moment, without judgment, without attachment. This requires intention, but it is a skill that can be cultivated with practice and with patience. Through mindfulness, you can learn to see the world with new eyes, to recognize the beauty and the wonder that surrounds you, and to connect with the divine spark that is present in all things. This simple shift in perspective has the power to transform your entire reality. The cultivation of detachment from the material world is another essential aspect of Gnostic practice, which does not mean rejecting the world, but rather not being defined by it. It means recognizing that material possessions, worldly achievements, and emotional attachments are temporary, and that true fulfillment comes from within, from our connection to the divine. This requires that you learn to find contentment in the present moment. Rather than always seeking something more, you find your satisfaction in yourself rather than in external things. This practice of letting go is not about denying the beauty and wonder of the material world, but rather about recognizing that it is not the ultimate reality, and that our attachment to it can keep us from realizing our true divine potential. This is a practice of recognizing the impermanence of all things, of cultivating inner peace, and of finding satisfaction within ourselves. This freedom from attachment allows us to move through the world with grace and with wisdom, not bound by fear and dependency. The power to create your own reality lies in your ability to align your actions with your true divine nature, for the choices you make, the thoughts you nurture, and the intentions that guide you all have the power to shape the world around you. By acting from a place of love, compassion, and understanding, you become a co-creator of your own destiny and a force for positive change in the world. This requires an acceptance of personal responsibility, acknowledging that you are not a helpless victim of circumstance, but a powerful being with the ability to shape your own experience. This is not just a philosophical idea, but a very real and practical power that you hold within. You are the author of your life. By making conscious choices that reflect your highest vision of yourself and your deepest values, you become a living embodiment of your own divine potential. This is an empowering message, and it is your birthright to claim the power to create the reality that you desire. Gnostic teachings offer a powerful path for liberation and self-empowerment, a path that is available to anyone who is willing to explore their inner world and to seek the truth for themselves. This is not a dogma or a religion, but a practical system of wisdom that can help you break free from the illusion of the material world and connect with your own divine spark. Gnosticism offers a message of hope, a reminder that you are not alone and that you have the power to transform your life and to create your own reality. The journey may be challenging, but the rewards are immeasurable. As you start to implement these Gnostic practices in your own life, you will begin to see the world through new eyes, to recognize the truth that has been hidden from you, and to reclaim your divine heritage. You are not just a human being, but an expression of the divine. It's time to reclaim your power, to take control of your destiny, and to awaken to the truth that has been waiting for you all along. In the next section, we will take a final look at the way Gnostic thought can be used as a practical framework to navigate the challenges of the modern world and begin to embody the principles and power of this ancient wisdom. The material world, as it appears to our senses, is not the ultimate reality, but a carefully constructed illusion, a grand deception designed to keep us from realizing our true divine potential. In Eastern traditions, this concept is known as Maya, a veil of illusion that obscures the true nature of reality, much like the Gnostic concept of the demiurge's flawed creation. This concept of Maya, which appears in Hindu and Buddhist philosophies, speaks of the world as a kind of dream, a projection of our own minds, and the true spiritual reality existing beyond the limited perceptions of our senses. This idea that our senses and minds are not providing us with an objective view of the universe, but a personalized, filtered version of reality is absolutely fundamental to understanding why Gnostic thought was so radically different from other traditional belief systems. It demonstrates that the very ground of our perceived existence is unstable and malleable, a concept that will become increasingly important as we continue to explore the deeper levels of our own power. This understanding that there are vast unseen forces at play in shaping our reality creates the first step on our path towards freedom. Our senses and minds act as filters, interpreting and shaping our experience of the world, and creating a distorted view of what actually exists, because we perceive reality through the lens of our beliefs, our expectations, and our past experiences. And so, what we call reality is often nothing more than a personal interpretation, not an objective truth. Think about how two people can experience the same event in completely different ways, how their perspectives can be vastly different even though they were physically present in the same space. What one person may find beautiful, another might find ugly, or what one person finds terrifying, another may find exhilarating. These differences are due to the unique filters through which they are experiencing that specific event, their personal reality that is actually constructed in their own mind. Our minds are always actively constructing a narrative, a story, based on the available information and our own internal biases, and this process creates a reality that is not objective, but subjective. This very act of interpretation, of filtering, is what creates the illusion, the Maya, of the material world that we often mistake for reality. This means that our individual experiences are not simply objective reflections of an external world, but rather subjective experiences being actively created by our own consciousness. Consider, for example, how cognitive bias influences the way we interpret information, as we often seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs, while dismissing or ignoring information that contradicts them. This is what psychologists call confirmation bias, and it is a powerful force that shapes our understanding of the world, leading us to selectively perceive only certain aspects of reality that align with our current beliefs and reinforcing our current patterns of thought. When our expectations are very strong, they can even shape the way we experience sensory information, as studies have shown that people can literally perceive things that are not present when their expectations are strong enough. If, for example, you believe a certain type of food will taste bad, you are more likely to have a negative experience of that food, even if it actually tastes quite good. And so, the belief itself is what creates the reality. Even something as seemingly simple as the perception of color can be affected by our expectations and by our emotional state. What you are perceiving at any given moment is not a concrete and fixed representation of an objective reality, but rather a fluid and malleable experience that is actively being created within your own mind. Our attachment to the material world, its fleeting pleasures, and our never-ending pursuit of external validation keeps us trapped in a cycle of desire and suffering, because we are constantly seeking happiness in things that are temporary and never truly satisfy our deepest longings. The more we chase after material possessions, worldly achievements, or the approval of others, the more we become entangled in the illusion of this world, and the further we stray from our true divine nature. This constant desire for more fuels the very system that keeps us trapped, the endless pursuit of external gratification. The demiurge's control system thrives on these very desires, which keep our focus on the material realm and distract us from the inner work that is required to break free. This cycle of desire and attachment creates a constant state of dissatisfaction and restlessness. You are forever searching for something more, and yet true fulfillment can never be found outside of yourself. The more attached you are to the fleeting pleasures of the material world, the more you are controlled by it, and the less likely you are to awaken to your true spiritual potential. This illusory world, then, is not the true divine reality, but a constructed one, a stage play where we are all actors performing roles. But most of us have completely forgotten that it is a play. We have forgotten that there is something more than what we are seeing, something deeper than what we can touch. Just as in Plato's allegory of the cave, we are merely seeing the shadows on the wall, unaware of the true reality that exists beyond the cave. The Gnostic understanding that we live in a constructed reality created by the demiurge reveals that our everyday experiences are not simply objective facts, but rather manifestations of a flawed system, and this creates an urgency, an absolute necessity to seek deeper meaning and discover the truth. The recognition that the material world is an illusion is not meant to be disheartening, but rather empowering, because this means that we are not bound by its limitations, and that we possess the potential to create our own reality, a reality that is more aligned with our divine essence. The very moment you realize that you live in an illusion is the moment that you begin to take the first steps towards creating true freedom. Moving from the idea of the illusory nature of reality, it's time now to consider the profound role that our beliefs and intentions play in shaping our personal experience, as we are not simply passive observers, but active participants in the creation of our own reality, whether we are aware of it or not. What we believe, what we intend, and what we focus on is what shapes our perception of reality and what shapes the experiences we attract into our lives. This means that our inner states are not separate from our outer world, but are rather reflections of each other. If you are able to change your inner world, you will begin to change the outer world. The Gnostic understanding that the material world is malleable is a powerful reminder that we possess the ability to transform our experience from the inside out. Our consciousness acts as a kind of lens, filtering and shaping the energy around us, and determining the very nature of the reality that we perceive and inhabit. This understanding places the responsibility for our lives squarely on our own shoulders, empowering us to take control of our experience. The Gnostic perspective aligns with what modern quantum physics has begun to discover about the nature of reality, specifically the observer effect, which demonstrates that the act of observing energy changes its behavior, confirming that our consciousness is not just a passive witness, but an active participant in the very fabric of reality. Subatomic particles do not behave in a fixed way, but rather, their behavior is influenced by the observer, and the very act of measurement itself changes the properties of the particle. This seems to suggest that reality, at its most fundamental level, is not something that exists independent of our consciousness, but rather something that is actively created by it. The implications of this are absolutely profound, because it suggests that our beliefs and intentions, our expectations and our focus, are not merely subjective experiences, but rather powerful forces that shape the very world around us, aligning with the Gnostic idea that the material realm is malleable and responsive to our inner states. This means that the universe itself is a kind of mirror, reflecting back to us our own inner beliefs and intentions. Consider, for example, the placebo effect, which demonstrates the incredible power of belief to heal the body, as patients who believe that they are receiving effective treatment can experience significant improvements, even when they are given a sham medication. This phenomenon is not simply a matter of suggestion, but rather a powerful example of the mind's ability to influence the very biology of the body. In other words, the mind creates a new reality within the body based on the belief held. Similarly, manifestation, the idea that we can attract our desires through focused intention and positive belief, demonstrates how our inner states can shape our external circumstances. The practice of visualization, of creating a mental image of what we want to achieve, shows how our thoughts can create a pattern, an intention that affects the quantum field in very real and tangible ways. These concrete examples, and so many others, show that we are not powerless victims of circumstance, but active agents of creation, with the ability to manifest the reality we desire. This demonstrates that the very limitations we often experience are not actually real, but are rather self-imposed, and so they can be broken through with the proper understanding. This power of belief and intention is deeply connected to the Gnostic concept of the pneuma, that divine spark of consciousness within us, that is the very essence of our being. It is the pneuma that gives us the power to shape our experience, to transform our lives, and to break free from the limitations of the material world. The recognition that we carry this divine power within us is absolutely empowering. It's the recognition that you are not merely a physical being with limited potential, but a powerful creator with the ability to manifest the reality you desire. And this is what gives you the ability to change your destiny. The Pneuma is the source of your infinite potential, and by connecting with it and understanding how it operates, you can unleash your true creative powers and create a life that is more aligned with your divine purpose. The recognition of your true power will help you move towards a life of freedom and self-mastery. Let us now explore the concept of the quantum mirror as a metaphor for how our consciousness interacts with the energy field, to give you a new lens through which to understand your own power. This quantum mirror reflects back to us the very beliefs and intentions we project into the universe, and this is why the Gnostic teachings emphasize the importance of self-awareness and the conscious cultivation of positive beliefs. This quantum mirror is not a physical object, but rather a representation of the way in which our consciousness interacts with the fundamental energy field of reality, and this new perspective allows us to better understand the creative process and our role in it. By recognizing the way this quantum mirror reflects our inner states, we can begin to take responsibility for the world that we experience and become more intentional about shaping that experience. This mirror constantly reflects your internal state and provides a feedback loop that shows you exactly what you are projecting into the universe. The act of observing energy changes its behavior, an idea that is not just a concept from quantum physics, but a powerful representation of the way in which our consciousness shapes the very fabric of reality. And this can be translated to the Gnostic idea that we are the co-creators of our own experience. What we expect to see, what we focus our attention on, is what shapes the energy around us. The act of observation is not a passive one, but rather an active engagement with the energy field, which is why focusing our attention and our intention are so absolutely crucial. By consciously choosing what we observe, we can influence the way that energy behaves, and we can change the very nature of our reality. This means that our focus is not a neutral act, but a powerful force that shapes the world around us, and knowing this empowers us to become more intentional in our practices and in the way that we navigate the world. This is not merely an abstract concept, but rather a profound insight that can transform the way that you interact with every aspect of your life. Our expectations and focus shape the energy around us, creating a feedback loop where our beliefs are continuously reinforced. And this is why it is absolutely vital that we understand our own patterns of thought and our own expectations to understand our role in the very shaping of reality. If you believe that the world is a dangerous and hostile place, you will tend to attract experiences that confirm that belief, and this, in turn, reinforces your perspective, and so on. This process can create a cycle of negative self-fulfilling prophecies, and it can perpetuate the very patterns of experience that we are trying to escape. However, the opposite is also true, and when we focus on positivity and believe in our potential, we can attract experiences that support those beliefs and begin to create new patterns of experience. The key is that you must be aware of your own expectations, and you must choose what you will believe in. Otherwise, you will be subject to the patterns you have not consciously chosen. You hold the power to change your experience as long as you understand how these forces are operating. This principle applies not only to our personal experiences, but also to our interactions with the material world and to other people, as we are constantly influencing the energy field through our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. The energy that you emanate is what influences the energy that you attract. If you approach the world with love, compassion, and understanding, you are more likely to attract positive and harmonious experiences. But if you approach the world with fear, anger, and judgment, you will more likely attract experiences that reinforce those negative patterns. This shows the importance of personal responsibility, for the energy that you put out is the energy that you receive back. Understanding this process empowers you to become more mindful, more intentional in the way that you navigate every aspect of your life. Every thought, every emotion, and every action you make sends ripples through the energy field, influencing everything around you, and understanding this is crucial for taking responsibility for your role in creating the world that you experience. By understanding the principles of the quantum mirror, you can become more intentional in your practice and more effective in transforming your reality, because when you know how the system operates, you are empowered to use it for your own conscious creation and your own personal transformation. By cultivating self-awareness, by consciously choosing your beliefs, and by focusing on your intentions, you can begin to reshape the energy around you and start creating a life that is more aligned with your divine potential. This journey requires dedication, patience, and a willingness to challenge your own limiting beliefs, but the rewards are immeasurable. This is a practical application of the Gnostic principles and a way of truly embodying the wisdom that has been passed down through generations. The quantum mirror is not an abstract concept, but a powerful force that is continuously at play in your life, and by understanding this, you will be able to take control of your creative power. Our minds, however, can also create mental prisons through limiting beliefs, negative thought patterns, and emotional attachments, keeping us trapped in the illusion of the material world. And these prisons are not physical structures, but rather self-imposed restrictions, limitations that we create through the way we think, feel, and perceive ourselves and the world around us. And it is crucial to understand that these are not fixed, immutable aspects of reality, but rather mental constructs, beliefs, and habits that can be changed with conscious effort. These limitations are not external forces, but rather internal ones, and so you hold the key to freeing yourself from their grip. By taking responsibility for the patterns in your mind, you become empowered to change them and to unlock your true potential, thus reclaiming your freedom from these self-imposed prisons. The power to begin this process is within you right now. These mental prisons are often reinforced by the demiurge's control system, which is specifically designed to keep us trapped in a cycle of fear, doubt, and limitation. And so, the very structures that we have been conditioned to accept are designed to keep us from our true potential. This system uses the media, education, and social institutions to manipulate our beliefs, to propagate fear, and to encourage conformity, thereby reinforcing our sense of separation and limitation. These systems present us with a very narrow view of reality, one that focuses on the material world, on the external, and distracts us from the inner work that is required to awaken to our own divine nature. The power of these systems lies in their ability to subtly influence our thinking, to shape our expectations, and to control our perceptions. And this is why it is so vital to become aware of these very mechanisms and to begin to dismantle them within your own mind, to step outside of the illusion. These mental prisons perpetuate the illusion and keep us from seeing the truth, for the very limitations we experience are not actually a reflection of reality, but rather the result of our own beliefs, our own thoughts, and our own emotions. And when we are constantly operating in patterns of fear, doubt, and limitation, we become blind to the infinite potential that lies within us. The demiurge's control system thrives on this very ignorance, and it seeks to keep us in a constant state of fear, which is what keeps us from seeking higher truths and embracing our true divine nature. The Gnostic path and its very teachings provide us with the tools to break free from this illusion, to see the truth about our own potential and our role in creating reality. This is why the very knowledge that we are discussing in this video has been suppressed for so long. It provides the very means for our liberation. It is not enough, however, to simply understand the nature of these mental prisons. We must also develop specific techniques for for identifying and reprogramming these limiting beliefs. And so, Gnostic practices offer very practical methods for breaking free from these self-imposed limitations. One such method is self-reflection, where you take the time to examine your own thoughts, your own emotions, and your own beliefs, and to ask yourself if they are truly serving you, or if they are keeping you trapped in a cycle of negativity. Mindfulness is another key tool, which allows you to observe your thoughts without judgment and to create space between stimulus and response, breaking free from the habitual reactions that keep you trapped in the past. Cognitive restructuring involves challenging your limiting beliefs, questioning their validity, and choosing to replace them with new, empowering beliefs that align with your true potential. These techniques are not abstract theories, but rather practical methods for changing the very way that you perceive yourself and the world around you. By applying Gnostic principles, you can reclaim your inner power and rewrite your personal narrative, for the story of your life is not fixed, but rather something that you can consciously create, and the more you understand the mechanisms of the mind and how the demiurge's system operates, the more you are able to create the life that you desire. You are the author of your own story, and you are not limited by your past, by your experiences, or by your beliefs, unless you choose to be. By rewriting the script of your own life, you will find that you begin to create a reality that is more aligned with your true divine essence, thus stepping into your own power and creating a world of your own conscious design. You are not just a character in the demiurge's play, but rather the playwright of your own life, so why would you settle for a story that doesn't empower you? The path to liberation requires an expansion of awareness, as it is not simply enough to recognize the existence of these mental prisons. We must also cultivate a deeper sense of awareness that allows us to transcend them. The Gnostic concept of the witness refers to the pure, observing presence that exists behind our thoughts and our emotions, and that is not attached to any particular experience. This witness is the unchanging, silent observer that is always present in every moment, and that is always available for you to connect with. It is a doorway to your true nature, to your divine essence. By recognizing and connecting with this silent observer, you can free yourself from the constant stream of thoughts and emotions and begin to experience a deeper sense of peace, clarity, and freedom. This witness is fundamentally different from our thoughts and emotions, which are constantly changing and are often fleeting, because it is the unchanging and silent observer that is always present, and that is not affected by any particular experience. Our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs are all temporary and are always coming and going, but this awareness, the witness, is always present and is not dependent on any particular condition. By connecting with the witness, you begin to see your thoughts and emotions as simply passing phenomena, and you no longer identify with them, no longer getting caught in their web. It is in that very space between you and your thoughts where freedom and clarity can be found. This ability to observe without judgment is the key to breaking free from the limitations of the mind and to realizing your own true nature. When you become aware of your own thoughts and emotions, you are able to create a space between stimulus and response, which provides you with freedom to choose how you react, rather than being controlled by your conditioning, your habits, or your limiting beliefs. This is how you break free from the cycle of reactivity and take control of your own experience. You are no longer a passive victim of circumstance, but rather an active agent in shaping your own reality. The moment you pause and observe is the moment you begin to take control of your experience. It is in this very space, between stimulus and response, that your true power lies. This is the very meaning of free will, the ability to choose and not be controlled by external forces. The practice of mindfulness is one of the most powerful tools for cultivating this awareness and connecting with the witness, for through mindfulness, we learn to observe our thoughts, our emotions, and our sensations without judgment and without attachment. Meditation is another powerful method, for it allows us to quiet the noise of the mind and connect with our inner silence, creating a space for deeper self-awareness. Through these practices, we are able to shift our focus from the constant stream of thoughts and emotions to the pure awareness, which is the foundation of our being. This is the very practice of connecting with the witness, of stepping into the role of pure observer, and of realizing your own true nature. By connecting with the witness, we recognize our own divine spark, pneuma, and the very nature of our experience shifts from a fixed, material reality to a fluid, malleable creation of consciousness. And when we understand that consciousness is the ground of reality, we understand the source of our very creative power. We are no longer simply passive observers, trapped in a material world, but rather powerful creators, capable of shaping our own experience through our awareness and our intention. This shift in perception is absolutely fundamental to our path of freedom, and this very moment of recognition of your divine spark is what sets you on the path towards liberation. This awareness is not just an intellectual concept, but rather a direct experience of your true nature, a realization that transforms everything. This understanding of the witness leads us to an even deeper understanding of the unified field and the interconnectedness of all things, as all things are connected at a fundamental level of consciousness, a level of reality that exists beyond the limitations of space and time. At this deeper level of reality, there is no separation between you, the person reading this, and the words on this page, or even the person speaking these words, as we are all part of the same universal consciousness, all expressions of the same underlying unity. This interconnectedness is a foundational principle of Gnostic thought, and it is supported by insights from modern quantum physics, revealing that the separation between us is actually an illusion. We are, all of us, part of a single, unified field, and understanding this has profound implications for how we perceive ourselves and our place in the universe. This concept aligns with what is now called the unified field in quantum physics, where everything is connected at the quantum level, demonstrating that the distinctions between separate objects are actually an illusion. At the subatomic level, particles are not separate entities, but rather they are interconnected aspects of a unified field of energy, and this scientific insight supports the Gnostic understanding of the interconnectedness of all things, providing another layer of credibility to these ideas. The notion of separate and distinct objects is an illusion created by the limitations of our sensory perceptions, when we are only seeing the surface of reality, the shadow on the wall, but at a deeper level, everything is connected, and everything influences everything else. This understanding transforms our very view of reality and our place within it. This field of energy connects all beings and objects, like a vast cosmic web, a network through which all things communicate, and in this web, our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions have ripples that extend far beyond our immediate experience. This has a powerful impact on how we view personal responsibility, because if we are all interconnected, that also means that the energy that we emanate affects the entire field. And so, we are responsible for the impact of our thoughts, emotions, and our actions, not only on ourselves, but also on the collective consciousness. Our actions do not just affect us individually, but rather, they affect the entire system, highlighting the need for greater awareness, compassion, and conscious action. This understanding of interconnectedness also helps us to cultivate a deeper sense of empathy, realizing that others are not fundamentally different from ourselves, but rather, they are expressions of the same universal consciousness. Concepts like morphic resonance, quantum entanglement, and subtle energy fields are all examples of this interconnectedness, demonstrating that consciousness is not confined to the brain, but rather, it exists as a field, a vast web of information and energy, and that it is not limited by space or time. Morphic resonance is a process by which patterns of behavior can spread across a species, even without direct contact, showing how our thoughts and actions can influence others and the collective consciousness. Quantum entanglement demonstrates that particles can be connected instantaneously, regardless of the distance that separates them, defying the limits of classical physics, supporting the idea of the non-local nature of consciousness. The subtle energy fields are the very fields that underlie the material world, and they are the very fields through which we communicate with each other and with the universe as a whole. These scientific concepts provide concrete examples of interconnectedness, further highlighting the validity of the Gnostic idea of unity. Understanding the unified field changes our perception of our own identity and our place in the universe, as we move beyond the limited view of ourselves as separate individuals, and we begin to understand ourselves as interconnected expressions of universal consciousness. We are not just separate beings, competing with each other, but rather integral parts of a unified whole, and this transforms our relationships, our interactions, and our very understanding of life. This understanding also brings us a profound sense of peace, as we begin to see ourselves as part of something much larger than our individual selves, and realize that we are connected to all things, to all beings, and to the divine source itself. This shift in perspective is not just an intellectual understanding, but a transformative experience that can completely reshape our sense of self and our place in reality. Finally, let us now consider the practical application of all these concepts, as it is now time to discuss how to use the tools of energy control for your own conscious transformation and how to create a new reality using these ancient principles. The power to control your own personal energy gives you the power to control your experience, as this is the very basis for how you shape your life and your connection to the world, and so we must learn to manage and direct it. Our thoughts, emotions, intentions, and awareness all influence our personal energy field, and when we become more conscious of the very ways that our energy operates, we become more effective in transforming our reality. This, of course, means that you must become aware of what you choose to focus on, because that is the energy that you are putting into the universe. There are very specific methods for managing and directing our personal energy, including practices such as meditation, which helps to calm the mind and align our energy with a higher purpose, and visualization, which allows us to create a mental picture of the reality that we want to manifest. Emotional mastery is essential, as it allows us to regulate our emotions and respond with love and compassion rather than fear and anger. Focused intention is crucial because it allows us to direct our energy towards specific goals and to align our thoughts and our actions with our divine purpose. These techniques, when practiced with consistency and intention, become very powerful tools for creating a new reality and for breaking free from the limitations that we have previously experienced. This is not just an abstract idea, but a very practical method that can transform your life and empower you to become a conscious creator. Our personal energy field, as we now know, is linked to the larger unified field, meaning that your individual transformation has an impact on the collective consciousness, and that our individual actions can make a difference in the world. This understanding brings a deeper sense of responsibility, and it challenges us to use our energy wisely to contribute to a positive shift in the consciousness of humanity. Every individual choice has the power to create ripples throughout the entire system, and so we must strive to act with love, compassion, and understanding, and contribute to the healing of our planet and all of its inhabitants. We are all interconnected, and we all affect one another. We are all one. Through the practice of these tools, you can improve your physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, thus demonstrating the tangible benefits of these techniques. Energy control can improve the flow of energy through your body, which promotes greater health and vitality. This too creates more emotional balance, as it teaches us to transform our negative emotions into positive ones, and it also enhances our ability to connect with our spiritual essence, which helps us to understand our purpose and connect with our true selves. These techniques are not just abstract theories, but rather very practical tools that you can use right now to improve the quality of your life and to step into your own power. This idea of energy control connects back to the Gnostic idea of the divine spark, pneuma, within us, because our pneuma has the power to transform reality, and by mastering our own energy, we break free from the demiurge's control and begin to step into our own true power. This means that you are not just a passive victim of circumstance, but rather a conscious creator with the ability to shape your own destiny, and the more that you understand these mechanisms, the more that you can use them for your own liberation. The pneuma is the source of your infinite potential, and by connecting with it, you will begin to unleash your true creative powers. Your liberation lies in your very capacity to control and direct your own energy. Ultimately, the path of the Gnostic leads to the final act of stepping outside the illusion of the material world and reconnecting with the true spiritual reality, which is the ultimate goal and the culmination of all the work we have explored in this video. To do this, you must combine all the very tools that we have covered so far, and you must commit to taking action right now. By mastering your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and awareness, you can begin to break free from the limitations of the mind, of your body, and of your material senses, which will create new pathways to your true divine nature. This is the goal that we have been moving towards throughout this entire video, and it is now time to bring it all together to create a pathway towards your own personal liberation. This final step requires you to release all of your attachment to the illusion of this world, to let go of the belief that it is the ultimate reality, and to begin to live from a state of awareness and conscious creation. For if you continue to identify with your thoughts, your emotions, and your material possessions, you will remain bound to the cycle of desire and suffering. The act of liberation is an inner one, and it requires you to turn your attention inward and to connect with the very source of your being. The world that you experience is not a separate reality from yourself, but rather a reflection of your own consciousness, and it is this consciousness that you must cultivate if you truly desire freedom. You must first let go before you can create anew. You can access the pleroma or the divine realm by using all of these very techniques, by using visualization to see it, by using meditation to connect with it, and by using heart-centered practices to feel it. The pleroma is not a place that is separate from you, but rather a state of being, a level of consciousness that exists within us all. The more you practice these techniques, the more that you will connect with your divine spark and experience higher states of consciousness. This connection will allow you to live from a place of love, peace, joy, and to be a conduit for the divine energy that seeks to express itself through you. It is in this experience that true freedom is found. True reality is not found in the external world, but within our own consciousness, which is why Gnosticism is a path of inner work, of self-discovery, and of personal responsibility. This is a path that can be embarked on right now, and it does not depend on external circumstances, but rather on your willingness to turn your attention within. Liberation is not something that you must wait for. It is not dependent on specific external events, but rather it is a state of being and a state of awareness that is available to you in every moment. The journey is a personal one, and it is only through your own effort that you can reclaim your true divine potential. This path is yours, and it is up to you to walk it. You are, all of you, capable of breaking free from the illusion and reclaiming your own divine potential, and this is the ultimate goal of the Gnostic path. It is a message of empowerment, a call to action, and a path that leads to greater freedom, greater awareness, and greater joy. The limitations that you experience are not real, and they can be overcome by understanding the power of consciousness, intention, and self-awareness. The path of liberation is available to anyone who is willing to seek it, and all the power that you need is already within you. This message is what Gnosticism sought to deliver, and it is what has been suppressed for centuries, but it is now time for you to awaken to your true potential and step into the light. Now let us move beyond the theoretical and delve into the very practical aspects of Gnostic practice, the specific tools that are available to you right now to begin breaking down the illusion of the material world and to amplify your own divine spark. These are not mere abstract concepts, but rather very specific methods that, when practiced with intention, will begin to transform your personal reality. We begin with the concept of ritual, not as a dogmatic ceremony or an empty religious practice, but as a focused technique for aligning your personal intention with the very energies of the universe itself. Ritual within the Gnostic context is a very deliberate act performed with specific purpose to engage with the deeper layers of your consciousness and to connect with the unseen forces that shape your experience. It is not merely a repetition of words or actions, but rather a conscious and intentional engagement with the universal energies through which you can accelerate your own personal transformation. Consider for a moment how rituals have been used across different traditions and different cultures for millennia, always to connect with the deeper, more powerful forces, and understand that this is something that can be used as a tool for your own personal development. Specific Gnostic rituals are designed to break through the illusion of the material world and to awaken your pneuma, the divine spark within you. These rituals are often complex and layered and are designed to engage all of your senses, creating a powerful and transformative experience as they use symbolic actions, sacred sounds, and visualizations to create a specific energetic field, one that can penetrate the veils of illusion that keep us trapped. These rituals are not simply performances, but rather they are alchemical processes designed to transform your consciousness, to awaken your senses, and to bring you into alignment with your true divine nature, creating a bridge between your ordinary self and the higher realms of reality. By understanding the symbolic nature of these rituals, you will begin to understand the powerful and transformative effect that they can have. In Hermeticism, for example, we see how rituals are used to invoke the very forces of creation and to align the personal will with the divine will, and this is echoed in Gnostic thought, in the idea that we are co-creators with the universe. In Kabbalah, we find the concept of using specific rituals to navigate the tree of life, which represents the very structure of reality itself. And this concept mirrors the Gnostic idea that we can use ritual to access the deeper layers of our own consciousness. These techniques are not isolated or specific, but rather they are powerful tools that can be used across multiple traditions to access greater levels of awareness. Within these rituals, visualization plays a key role, as it is not just a tool for imagining, but rather a technique for consciously creating and altering your own personal reality. This idea that you can change your personal reality through visualization is a concept that has long been understood in esoteric traditions, from ancient shamanism to modern manifestation techniques. But Gnosticism uses this concept in a very specific way, as a tool for breaking down the illusion of the material world. When you visualize something, you are not simply creating a mental image, but rather you are creating an energetic pattern, one that can be projected into the quantum field, and that can begin to manifest in your physical reality. This concept aligns perfectly with the findings of modern quantum physics, specifically the observer effect, which, as we have discussed, demonstrates that the act of observing energy actually changes its behavior. By using visualization, you are actively shaping the very fabric of reality, and by combining this with the symbolic nature of the Gnostic traditions, you will begin to wield a more powerful method for personal transformation. This idea that your consciousness directly impacts your reality is key for understanding the power of Gnostic practice. Gnostic symbols, which are often complex and multi-layered, are not merely decorative, but are powerful tools for unlocking deeper layers of awareness, and these are not random designs or abstract concepts, but rather they are carefully crafted representations of the very forces that shape reality itself. Consider, for example, the symbol of the serpent, often seen as a negative force in some traditions, but in Gnostic thought, it represents the Kundalini energy, the life force that is coiled at the base of the spine, and that, when awakened, can lead to the very highest states of consciousness and to direct experience of the divine. The cross, another powerful symbol, is not simply a representation of suffering, but a symbol of the union of opposing forces, the intersection of the material and spiritual realms, a perfect representation of the balance that must be achieved within. The symbol of light is a representation of our pneuma, the divine spark within us, and that, when awakened, can illuminate our path and dissolve the darkness of ignorance. These are not simply symbols to be admired, but rather they are keys to be used, codes to be unlocked, and by using them during your meditation practices, you can connect with the deeper layers of your consciousness and accelerate your spiritual awakening. When you combine ritual, visualization, and symbolic work, you create a very powerful transformative practice where your focused intention is amplified by the deeper symbolic understanding, thereby unlocking very real, very tangible shifts in your own personal reality. The more you engage with these tools, the more that you will unlock your own potential, and the more you will begin to see that you are not just a passive observer in this world, but rather a powerful creator with the ability to shape your own destiny. This combination of tools is a practice that has been passed down through the centuries, and it is now available to you if you are willing to take the time to learn and practice. The secrets of the universe are not hidden in some faraway galaxy, but rather they are held within, waiting to be awakened through your intention, through your focus, and through your dedication. Are you ready to take that first step? Now, let us turn our attention to the concept of alchemy, not as the ancient art of transmuting lead into gold, but as a powerful metaphor for inner transformation, connecting it directly to the Gnostic idea of liberating your pneuma from the material body. This is not a literal process of creating physical gold, but rather, it is a symbolic representation of the journey of the soul, the process of transforming your ordinary consciousness into divine consciousness, of transforming the base aspects of your nature into the refined and perfect expression of your true self. The alchemical process is not just a physical act, but rather it is an inner journey, a process of self-purification and a quest for enlightenment, a way of understanding the very path towards liberation. This ancient art is a mirror for our internal landscape, and when we understand this, we will begin to understand our own personal potential for growth. The very process of alchemy, from the turning of base metals into gold, is a representation of our own internal potential. The alchemical process of transmutation, which involves several stages, is not just a series of chemical reactions, but rather a symbolic representation of the stages of self-purification and the refinement of the soul. The first stage, Negrido, represents the initial breakdown of the ego, the recognition of your own flaws, and the need for transformation, and it is the process of acknowledging the darkness within ourselves, of recognizing the aspects of our being that must be transformed. The second stage, Albedo, represents the purification of the soul, as the emotional attachments, the negative thoughts, and the limiting beliefs are cleansed and refined. The third stage, Citronitas, represents the awakening of the soul to its true potential, as the consciousness begins to expand and realize its own true nature. The final stage, Rubido, represents the union of the purified soul with the divine, the achievement of true enlightenment, and the experience of unity with the universe. These stages are not merely a linear process, but rather they are a spiral, a journey that loops back upon itself as we continue to evolve and to grow in our quest for self-mastery. In Western alchemy, we see these stages as a precise process for transforming matter, while in Eastern traditions, such as the Taoist inner alchemy, we see a very similar path for transforming our own consciousness and our internal landscape. These similar patterns demonstrate the universality of the alchemical process and the power that it holds for personal transformation. Our emotional attachments, our negative thoughts, and our limiting beliefs are the lead that we must transform into gold, representing the enlightened state of consciousness. This is a path that is available to each and every one of you, and it is not something that requires special skills or magical powers, but rather, it requires a willingness to look within, to face your own darkness, and to embrace the process of transformation. The negative thoughts are not simply things to be ignored, but rather they are signals pointing towards the areas within us that require our attention, our love, and our compassion. The emotional attachments, which keep us bound to the material world, must be recognized as illusions and must be released with gratitude. The limiting beliefs, which keep us trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and limitation, must be challenged and replaced with new, empowering perspectives that align with your true potential. The very process of understanding these ideas is the first step towards their transformation, because if we cannot name what needs to be fixed, we cannot fix it. This is not just a theory, but a very practical method for self-improvement, personal growth, and for understanding how we can elevate our own experience of the world. To apply alchemical principles to your daily life requires very specific and intentional actions, focusing on self-reflection, emotional mastery, and the conscious direction of your inner energy. Self-reflection involves taking the time to examine your own thoughts and to understand your own patterns of behavior and to recognize where your patterns might not be serving you. Emotional mastery involves learning to regulate your emotions and to respond with love and compassion rather than being controlled by fear and anger. The conscious direction of your inner energy involves focusing your intention on the reality that you want to manifest and aligning your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions with your desired outcome. And by using these tools, and by combining them with the rituals and symbolism that we have previously discussed, you will begin to master the art of your own personal transformation. This is not a passive practice, but rather an active engagement with your inner world, and it is through this very engagement that you will unlock your true potential. The very first step of alchemy is the willingness to engage and to begin. Ultimately, the alchemical process is the very same journey that we have discussed so far. The Gnostic path, it's the very same journey of transforming your ordinary awareness into divine consciousness by transmuting your internal darkness into light. This is not just a process of self-improvement, but rather a journey of self-realization, a path towards understanding your own true nature. The goal is not to become someone different or to achieve a higher state of being, but rather, it is to recognize your own true nature, to awaken to your own divine potential, and to embody the very essence of your being. The secrets of the universe are not hidden in some faraway galaxy, but rather, they are encoded within you, waiting to be awakened through the very process of conscious transformation, which is, ultimately, the very core of alchemical practice. This idea that you are the very key to unlocking your own potential is the most empowering message we can offer you today. Now let us turn our attention to the Gnostic understanding of time, as it is radically different than the conventional view, and understanding this is a key to breaking free from the illusion of the material world. The conventional view of time, as we often experience it, is linear as a sequence of events that move from past through the present and into the future, but Gnosticism suggests that this is a construct, a limitation created by the demiurge to keep us trapped in a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The attachment to this linear concept of time keeps us in a constant state of becoming, forever chasing after the future and forever being haunted by the past. This creates a constant sense of dissatisfaction and restlessness, preventing us from experiencing the very fullness of the present moment. The Gnostic view is not that time does not exist, but rather that time as we perceive it is not the ultimate reality, but rather a limitation that can be transcended through higher awareness. This illusion of linear time keeps us from seeing the interconnectedness of all things, because when we understand that all moments are actually happening now, we begin to understand that our past, present, and future are all a part of a single, interconnected whole, and this single understanding changes everything. The Gnostic view of time is that of the eternal now, the understanding that all of reality, past, present, and future is actually happening simultaneously, existing in a single space of infinite potentiality. This is a concept that challenges our ordinary way of thinking, because our minds are trained to perceive time as linear, as a series of consecutive moments, but in reality, all moments are interconnected, and all moments are occurring within the very same point of consciousness, the eternal now. This eternal now is not a place to be reached, but rather, it is our true home, the state of consciousness that is always available to us, if we are willing to step outside of the illusion of linear time. When you are not trapped by your attachments to the past or to your expectations of the future, you are free to experience the very fullness of the present moment, and in that very present moment, infinite potential exists. You can choose what will be in the space of the now. Transcending the limitations of linear time can be accomplished through specific practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and visualization exercises, all of which are very intentional techniques for accessing the present moment, the only moment where true power exists, and by becoming present in the now, you begin to experience a state of timeless awareness. When you are meditating, you are not thinking about the past or anticipating the future, but rather you are present in the moment, you are experiencing the now in its fullness. Through visualization, you can create an experience that exists outside of the limitations of linear time. By imagining yourself in a different timeline, experiencing a different reality, you are not just imagining, you are accessing a deeper layer of your consciousness. Mindfulness allows you to step outside of the endless stream of thoughts and emotions that keep you trapped in your past and future expectations. This is a very direct practice that allows you to experience the present moment and thereby transcend the very illusion of time itself. These practices are the very keys to understanding the true nature of reality. These techniques expand your perception and enable you to access more subtle realms of reality that are beyond the constraints of linear time. And in those higher realms, you begin to see the interconnectedness of all things, how each moment is linked to another in an intricate web of cause and effect. In those higher realms, you see the possibilities of what can be, and you begin to understand that your past is not fixed, that your future is not predetermined, but rather, they are all subject to your choices within the very now. You have the power to affect all timelines and to alter your own personal experience. These abilities are not magical, they are not mysterious, but rather, they are natural expressions of your divine consciousness, and all you need to do is activate them. This power lies within you right now. This concept also connects to the esoteric idea of the Akashic Records, the library of all knowledge that exists outside the bounds of time and space. And through these practices, you can consciously access these records, and you can gain knowledge and insight into your own life and the very nature of reality. The Akashic Records are not some faraway place, but rather, they exist within the unified field of consciousness and are accessible through your intention and your focus. Through these records, you can gain knowledge of your past lives, you can gain insight into your future possibilities, you can even consciously change your timelines by aligning your intention with the deeper wisdom of the universe. This concept may sound like science fiction, but it is actually a practical application of your inherent creative potential. These are not theories, these are actual skills that can be developed with practice, with consistency, and with intention. By accessing these levels of reality, you are unlocking your very potential. Now let us turn our attention to sacred geometry, the symbolic language through which the universe expresses its very structure, and how understanding these geometric patterns can unlock deeper levels of understanding. Sacred geometry is not merely a mathematical concept, but rather it is a representation of the underlying order of the universe and a direct expression of the very principles that shape reality itself. These geometric shapes, patterns, and ratios are not simply abstract designs, but rather they are the very building blocks of creation, the blueprint of the cosmos, and by understanding them, you begin to gain a deeper insight into the nature of reality and the very source of your own consciousness. Gnostic tradition uses geometric symbols to represent the various emanations of the divine, and these symbols are not simply representations, but rather they are the very tools that allow you to connect with the deeper levels of your own consciousness. This understanding transforms the geometric shapes into something more than just mathematical symbols. Specific geometric patterns, such as the flower of life, the golden ratio, and the Platonic solids, are not just pretty shapes, but they are representations of the very underlying structure of reality. They are the very building blocks of creation, and they are echoed in natural forms, in architecture, in the very patterns that we see throughout the cosmos. The flower of life, for example, is a symbol that represents the interconnectedness of all things, the very pattern of creation, and the blueprint of the universe. The golden ratio, often represented by the Fibonacci sequence, can be found in nature, in the spirals of seashells, in the branching of trees, in the arrangement of flower petals, and it is the most aesthetically pleasing ratio to the human eye, representing the perfect proportions of the universe. The Platonic solids are the building blocks of all matter, as these 5 geometric shapes form the very basis of all crystalline structures, and are a very profound representation of the building blocks of our universe. These geometric shapes, patterns, and ratios are not just mathematical concepts, but rather they are the very language of creation, and when you begin to understand them, you begin to understand the very fabric of reality. These are not isolated patterns, but rather they are echoed across multiple traditions, and in multiple cultures, they are a universal language that transcends time and space. Understanding sacred geometry can greatly enhance your meditation practices by giving you a new lens through which to perceive your own consciousness, as well as the nature of the universe. These are not just pretty shapes to contemplate, but rather they are powerful keys for accessing higher levels of awareness. By focusing on these geometric patterns during your meditation, you begin to align your consciousness with the universal order, which amplifies your very intention and increases your capacity to access higher states of consciousness. These symbols, when properly understood, become very powerful tools for self-transformation. This demonstrates that sacred geometry is not just an abstract concept, but a very potent tool for self-mastery. You can incorporate sacred geometry into your visualization practices by simply imagining these patterns and by visualizing them in your mind's eye, or by creating your own sacred geometry symbols to use during meditation. You begin to align your consciousness with the universal order, and you begin to amplify your very intention. This practice can be seen as aligning your personal energy field with the universal energy field, connecting to the source of creation itself. And it is through this very alignment that you begin to shape your own personal reality and step into your true creative power. This is a practical application of ancient wisdom that is now available to you, and it is your own choice if you are willing to explore the potential that it holds. The more that you engage with this practice, the more that you will begin to understand that these are not just mathematical symbols, but rather they are the very keys for unlocking the secrets of your own existence. This concept is also deeply connected to the idea of the universe as a hologram, where the entire universe is contained within each part, and where every point of consciousness is interconnected, as this holographic universe is structured along very specific geometric lines, which are the very lines through which energy flows, through which information travels. And by understanding this geometric structure, you begin to understand the very fabric of reality. The geometry itself is not just a representation, but rather it is a map of the energetic interactions within our universe, which reinforces the concepts of interconnectedness, of unity, and of universal consciousness. This brings yet another scientific parallel to these ancient concepts, and when we begin to combine all of the concepts that we have explored today, a deeper picture will begin to emerge. Finally, let us consider the transformative power of sound and vibration, and how tuning into higher frequencies can alter our state of consciousness and shape our very perception of reality. Sound and vibration are not just physical phenomena, but rather, they are the fundamental forces that shape our reality, because everything that exists vibrates at a specific frequency, and these frequencies have a profound impact on our consciousness, our emotions, and our very physical well-being. This means that by understanding the power of sound, we can influence our internal landscape, and we can consciously alter our interaction with the world. Gnostic and esoteric traditions have long understood the power of sound, and they have used mantras, tones, and sacred music to induce altered states of consciousness and to connect with the deeper realms of reality. The more you understand the very power of sound, the more that you will understand the very keys to your own personal transformation. Specific frequencies, as we now understand them, can directly alter states of consciousness, as they directly impact the brainwaves and the nervous system, inducing deeper levels of relaxation, focus, and creative insight. Mantras, for example, are sacred sounds or phrases that have the power to transform the mind, to focus attention, and to induce a state of meditation. And they are not just random sounds, but they are very specific patterns of vibration that resonate with the universe itself. Tones and sacred music are also used to create specific energetic fields, which promote healing and expansion of consciousness, as these sounds are the expression of the deeper mathematical laws that govern our universe. These practices are not just cultural traditions, but rather, they are very precise techniques for accessing higher states of consciousness, and they are a powerful tool for your own personal transformation. We can use specific solfeggio frequencies, binaural beats, and other forms of sonic healing as a pathway to relaxation, focus, and creative insight, as these sounds directly impact our brainwaves, our emotions, and our physical health. The solfeggio frequencies are a set of specific tones that have been shown to have a positive impact on our consciousness, releasing negative emotions, promoting healing, and helping us to connect with our higher selves. Binaural beats are created by playing two slightly different frequencies into each ear, and this creates an auditory illusion that can induce various states of consciousness, such as relaxation, meditation, or focus. These technologies are now being used for healing, for stress reduction, and for improving cognitive function, showing us a glimpse of the incredible potential of sound. These practices are not mysterious or magical, but rather, they are expressions of the scientific laws that govern our universe, and they are tools that you can use right now to improve your own state of being. This concept is the gateway to a new form of understanding our own potential. You can use your own voice to create positive vibrations and amplify your intentions, as the transformative power of spoken word, mantras, and affirmations is not just a matter of positive thinking, but rather, it is a very deliberate act of creating new realities, as every word that you speak vibrates with energy and has an impact on the world around you. Mantras, which are repetitive phrases or sounds, align our consciousness with a specific frequency, and affirmations are declarations that program our subconscious mind, helping us to manifest our desires and to become more positive creators. These tools are not just practices, but rather, they are ways of connecting with the creative potential of the universe. The very words that you choose to use are the very words that shape your reality. The power of sound and vibration connects directly to the Gnostic concept of the pneuma and its ability to resonate with the higher frequencies of the universe. And by using sound, you can help to activate your divine spark, to connect with your true nature, and to accelerate your path to liberation. The pneuma vibrates at a very high frequency, and by exposing yourself to certain sounds, mantras, and tones, you can help to activate it, thus creating a pathway to your own enlightenment. This is not merely an abstract idea, but rather a very practical method for transforming your consciousness, for reconnecting with your true self, and for creating a life that is more aligned with your divine purpose. This concept of connecting to your divine spark is another key to understanding your own path. Finally, let us consider the role of the heart and how it is the gateway to higher consciousness, connecting directly to the pneuma, our divine spark, which is not something that is separate from us, but rather it is the very essence of our being. This is not just a metaphor or a sentimental idea, but rather it is a description of a very real energetic center, a powerful vortex of energy that lies within our very core. The heart is not just the physical organ that pumps blood through our body, but rather it is the portal to our divine essence, and it is the center of our intuition, our empathy, our compassion, and our very capacity for love. By accessing the heart center, we step into a higher mode of consciousness and transcend the limitations of the mind. This idea that the heart is the gateway is a central concept in many esoteric traditions. Heart-centered awareness allows us to transcend the limitations of our mind and to connect with our true nature, moving beyond logic and reasoning to access the deeper wisdom of our intuition and our inner knowing. This is not about ignoring your intellect, but rather, it is about understanding the limitations of the rational mind and accessing a more holistic way of knowing through your feelings, through your compassion, and through the wisdom of your heart. When you approach the world through the lens of the heart, you are more likely to act with kindness, understanding, and compassion, as this is the most powerful way to connect with others. This concept of using your heart as a guiding force is the next step in your path towards enlightenment. Accessing the heart center through meditation and other practices creates a powerful link to universal love, as it enhances your capacity to create a more compassionate and balanced reality. When we focus on love, on forgiveness, and on empathy, we transform our own internal landscape, and we also contribute to a positive shift in the collective consciousness, and we are all responsible for contributing to the collective experience. The practices that help you access the heart center will not only heal your personal landscape, but also impact the very fabric of reality, showing you your capacity to create a better world. This link to universal love is available to everyone, and it is your choice to step into it. The Gnostic path is closely connected to the path of the Bodhisattva, from Buddhism, who is the one who seeks enlightenment, not for their own personal gain, but rather for the benefit of all beings, understanding that all of us are part of a single, interconnected consciousness. This concept is not about a personal quest, but about a universal one, and we must have compassion for all of those that are caught in the illusion. This idea of collective responsibility is the core of many spiritual paths, and it is a demonstration of the power of love, as we all work towards a better future, one step at a time, and one act of kindness at a time. The Gnostic and the Bodhisattva are both expressions of the very same impulse, a deep desire to liberate all beings from the suffering of the world. The path of the heart is not a passive retreat from the world, but rather it is an active engagement with all of life, using our awareness, our compassion, and our love to transform not only our personal experience, but also our impact on the world around us. And it is through the process of becoming more loving, more empathetic, and more compassionate that we move towards a more enlightened future. This path is not just for the chosen few, but rather it is for anyone who is willing to step into their own power and to embrace the responsibility of being a conscious creator. You are the light that will illuminate the world if you choose to shine. The Gnostic concept of dualism and polarity, which we have discussed in previous sections, now becomes an even more relevant pathway towards liberation, because the very universe is structured by these opposing forces, such as light and darkness, good and evil, male and female, and yet these are not actually opposing forces, but rather they are complementary aspects of a single whole. It is through the understanding of these dualities that we come to a deeper understanding of the unified nature of reality, and that is why understanding polarity is so crucial. When we see the world as a series of oppositions, we remain trapped in a cycle of conflict and separation. But when we recognize that these forces are not separate, but interconnected, we move towards a state of balance and a more complete understanding of our reality. This dualistic structure of reality is a universal pattern expressed across many different cultures and traditions. We can use the principle of polarity for our own personal growth by understanding that every negative experience carries a positive potential and that every challenge is an opportunity for transformation. When we see the world through the lens of polarity, we begin to understand that there is not a good and a bad, a right and a wrong, but rather there are different perspectives and different aspects of a single whole. When we move through the world with this perspective, we see our challenges not as obstacles, but rather as opportunities for growth, for learning, and for self-discovery. This perspective opens new pathways forward. By integrating these opposing forces within ourselves, we achieve balance, moving beyond internal conflict and into a more harmonious state of being. When we embrace our shadow self, when we accept our imperfections, and when we stop judging ourselves, we allow the inner conflict to dissolve. We then become more effective in navigating the world, and we become more powerful expressions of the universe. This process is not about achieving perfection, but rather, it's about accepting all aspects of ourselves and becoming more whole. The more that you engage with this process, the more you will understand that these polarities are not a sign of weakness, but rather, they are an expression of our very human potential. We can transcend these dualities by understanding the interconnectedness of all things, by embracing our shadow self, by accepting the imperfections of the material world, and by recognizing the divine spark that resides within every single one of us. These practices will help you move beyond the limitations of your mind and help you embrace a more balanced and complete view of the universe. This transcendence of duality is not just an abstract idea, but rather, it is a direct pathway towards liberation and towards experiencing the full potential of your own being. These ideas all lead to a single objective. Ultimately, the Gnostic journey leads to the return to the source, the pleroma, the recognition of our true divine nature, the final objective, the purpose of this path. This return is not an external journey to some faraway place, but rather, it is an internal process of self-realization, the awakening of the pneuma, the divine spark within you. This is not just a theoretical concept, but rather, it is the culmination of all the practices that we have discussed in this video, and it is your very potential. You have the ability to reconnect with the source, to reclaim your divine potential, and to experience the fullness of your own true nature. This concept is not something that is beyond your reach, but rather, it is something that is available to you right now. By applying all the very methods and all the very principles that we have discussed in this video, you can consciously reconnect with the pleroma, you can reclaim your divine nature, and you can begin to live from a place of love, peace, and joy. The more that you engage with these practices, the more that you will begin to embody these qualities, and the more that you will begin to step into your own power. This is the journey we have all been on, and it is now time to bring it to its ultimate conclusion, a return to your own divine origins, to reconnect to the source from which we all came. This pathway is not for someone else, it is for you. Integrating your divine spark into your daily life is not just a spiritual practice, but rather, it is a way of living consciously as you become a more deliberate, intentional creator of your own reality. Living from the pneuma, from your own divine spark, means acting with love, compassion, and wisdom in every moment, and it means aligning all of your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your highest potential. You are, in each moment, a conscious co-creator of your own experience, and the more you embrace this power, the more that you will begin to shape your life in accordance with your true purpose. This power is always available to you. This return to the source is not the end of your spiritual journey, but rather, it is the beginning of a new phase of conscious creation, a phase of service to the world, a way of contributing to the collective consciousness. When you reconnect with your divine nature, you understand that you are not just an individual, but rather, you are an integral part of a much larger whole, and this brings with it a deep sense of responsibility, a desire to contribute to the betterment of humanity, and a profound understanding that your personal transformation impacts the world and all of those in it. You are a link in the chain and a crucial part of the whole. The journey of the Gnostic is a journey of self-discovery, a journey of empowerment, and a journey of liberation, and it is a journey that is now available to each and every one of you. You have the inherent divine potential to change your own destiny, to create a life that is aligned with your purpose, and to step into your own true power. You are not just a passive observer, but rather, you are a conscious creator with the ability to shape your reality and the power to change the world. The secrets that have been hidden are now revealed, and all that is required is your own willingness to take action. Are you ready to accept this responsibility and to step into your true power? Now let us embark on the path of the conscious creator, as this concept embodies the very essence of Gnostic principles applied to your daily life, shifting your focus from passive understanding to active participation in the creation of your reality. You are not merely a spectator in this grand cosmic play, but rather you are a co-creator with the very ability to shape your experience, to direct your destiny, and to manifest the world around you. This shift in perspective from a victim of circumstance to a conscious creator is the very key to unlocking your true potential and to reclaiming your divine inheritance. The time has come for you to step into this power, to accept this responsibility, and to actively create the life that you have always desired. The universe is not something that happens to you, but rather, it is something that you create with every thought, every emotion, and every action. Are you ready to begin this journey? To intentionally co-create your reality, you must begin by aligning your intentions with the universal consciousness, understanding that your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs are not merely abstract concepts, but rather, they are the very building blocks of your experience. When you focus your attention on what you desire, when you feel the emotions that are associated with that desire, and when you believe that it is possible, you begin to draw those experiences into your reality. This is not just a positive thinking exercise, but rather, it is a very precise process of aligning your personal will with the universal will, and it is through this alignment that you begin to shape your life in accordance with your true potential. It is through this process that you step out of the victim role and take full responsibility for your life, becoming a conscious architect of your destiny. You are no longer a leaf in the wind, but rather, you are the very wind itself, capable of directing your own path. Gnostic self-reflection practices can transform mundane activities into opportunities for spiritual growth and into vehicles for deeper self-awareness. Every moment, whether you are washing dishes, walking down the street, or engaging in conversation, becomes an opportunity to observe your thoughts, your emotions, and your beliefs with a new sense of awareness. When you are fully present, when you are fully engaged, you are no longer just performing an action, but rather, you are consciously participating in the very flow of creation. This simple act of observation transforms your ordinary moments into sacred rituals, and it is through these moments of conscious awareness that you begin to connect with your true divine nature. Every task, every interaction, every challenge is an opportunity to learn and to grow, and to embrace your potential for transformation. Your entire life can become a powerful spiritual journey if you choose to embrace it. Navigating daily challenges through a Gnostic lens requires a new way of perceiving the world, one that emphasizes detachment, mindfulness, and an unwavering awareness of your limiting beliefs. Detachment is not about apathy or disengagement, but rather, it is about recognizing that your experiences are not who you are, and that you have the power to choose your responses, rather than simply reacting to circumstances. Mindfulness involves being fully present in each moment, observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment, allowing you to see your own patterns of behavior and where they may not be serving you. Awareness of limiting beliefs involves recognizing the old stories that you tell yourself, the negative thought patterns that keep you trapped in a cycle of fear, doubt, and self-limitation, and it is through challenging these beliefs that you create the space for new, empowering truths to emerge. Through these practices, the obstacles that you encounter are transformed into opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Every difficulty can become a stepping stone if you understand it with the proper perspective. The pathway to conscious creation is not a complex system of steps, but rather it is a very simple strategy based on intention, awareness, and compassion. Intention is the deliberate focusing of your energy on what you desire, creating a clear mental image of the life that you want to manifest. Awareness is the practice of being fully present in each moment, observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment, allowing you to recognize any limiting beliefs that may be sabotaging your efforts. Compassion is the understanding that all beings are interconnected, and that by acting with love, kindness, and understanding, you contribute to the healing of the world. When you weave these three powerful tools into your daily life, you will begin to manifest a world that is more aligned with your true potential, and you will begin to live a life that is more authentic, more fulfilling, and more in harmony with your divine nature. This combination of intention, awareness, and compassion is the most effective method for creating lasting change and for transforming your personal reality. This power is always accessible to you. Are you willing to use it? Now let us explore emotional mastery, as it is the key to unlocking your divine potential and to breaking free from the demiurge's control, understanding that your emotions are the very tool through which you are manipulated. Your emotions are powerful forces that, when understood, can be harnessed as a tool for personal transformation, and when ignored, they can be used to keep you trapped in a cycle of reactivity, fear, and suffering. This means that your path towards freedom lies in your very capacity to understand and to master your emotional landscape, and when you recognize your emotional patterns, you will begin to recognize the forces that seek to control you, and therefore, you will begin to dismantle their power. Gnostic self-observation techniques empower you to recognize and transform negative emotional patterns, understanding that all emotions are energy and that this energy can be transmuted. By observing your emotional responses without judgment, you begin to create space for a new way of understanding and responding to your circumstances, recognizing that you are not your emotions, but rather, you are the observer of your emotions. This simple act of self-awareness is the beginning of true emotional mastery and the first step towards liberating yourself from the grip of unconscious reactivity. You are not defined by your emotions, but rather, you are the one that is defining them, and this understanding will become the very key to your freedom. Emotional regulation requires the implementation of specific practices such as mindfulness, detachment, and forgiveness that allow you to take control of your internal landscape and to respond to circumstances with wisdom and grace. Mindfulness allows you to become aware of your emotional triggers, observing your emotional responses without judgment, thus creating a space for conscious choice. Detachment is the understanding that your emotions do not define you, and that you have the power to choose your responses rather than simply reacting to your feelings. Forgiveness involves releasing the negative energy of past hurts, and it allows you to move forward with a clear heart, free from the burden of resentment. The implementation of these practices will bring you real tools to navigate your inner world and to create a more harmonious emotional state. These practices are always available to you when you are willing to make the effort. These practices will lead you to a state of inner peace and to a deeper connection with your divine spark. By focusing on the heart, on compassion, and on empathy, you begin to activate your inherent wisdom, and when you cultivate love, you dissolve the very barriers that separate you from your true self. The very path to inner peace lies in your willingness to embrace all aspects of yourself, including your very emotional experiences. This emotional freedom is essential for your journey towards spiritual freedom, and the cultivation of inner peace is not just a nice feeling, but rather, it is the very foundation for your capacity to live from your divine spark. The Gnostic concept of the witness emphasizes the importance of observing your emotions without judgment, stepping into a role of non-reactivity, and choosing to respond rather than to simply react. The witness is not a passive observer, but rather, it is an active participant in the very transformation of your emotional landscape. And when you embody this role, you transform your negative feelings into fuel for positive action and conscious growth. Every time you choose to respond instead of reacting, you are stepping further into your power, and you are consciously choosing to create a more aligned reality. This choice is the very key to liberating yourself from your own suffering. Now let us explore the significance of conscious relationships and how the very principles of Gnosticism can transform your interactions with others, emphasizing the importance of community and shared transformation. Conscious relationships are those where each individual supports the other's spiritual growth and development, where mutual respect, understanding, and compassion are paramount, and where your interactions with others become pathways towards self-discovery and collective awakening. These are not just relationships built on convenience or comfort, but rather they are very deliberate engagements, where each individual contributes to the evolution of the other. Your relationships are your greatest opportunities to grow and to learn. Empathy, compassion, and forgiveness are the very foundations of healthy interactions, understanding that these qualities are not just virtues, but rather they are essential for our capacity to connect with the divine within each other. When you approach all of your interactions with empathy and you understand the perspectives of others, when you act with compassion, and when you forgive past hurts, you create the very conditions for genuine connection and mutual growth. These qualities are not just tools to navigate your relationships, but rather they are the very bridge to the divine within yourself and within all of those around you. These are not just words, but rather they are the expressions of your higher nature. A community built on mutual respect, shared wisdom, and conscious co-creation enhances individual growth and elevates the collective consciousness. When you come together with others who are also on the path of self-discovery, you create a network of support, encouragement, and shared understanding, which enables you to grow beyond what you might be able to accomplish on your own. These are not just social gatherings, but rather they are collective efforts to create a world that is aligned with the very principles of love, compassion, and understanding. Your interactions are just as important as your internal landscape, and both are pathways towards your personal growth. Resolving conflicts with awareness, understanding, and kindness transforms even the most challenging interactions into opportunities for growth, where you see these interactions not as battles to be won, but rather as lessons to be learned and as opportunities for you to express your very highest self. Every relationship that you cultivate becomes a pathway to your own personal development and to the expansion of your consciousness. It is through your interactions with others that you understand yourself on a deeper level, and that is why your relationships are your greatest opportunities. The Gnostic concept of the unified field demonstrates the very interconnectedness of all things, and that we are all expressions of a single universal consciousness, and that by acting with love, compassion, and understanding, you contribute to the healing of the world. Your relationships are not just individual connections, but rather, they are the expressions of the very unified nature of reality, and it is through this understanding that you will begin to reshape the world around you. The more that you embrace this perspective, the more that you will understand the very power of connection and the importance of community. Now let us explore the idea of work as a form of spiritual practice and a path for contributing to the conscious evolution of the world, understanding that every activity can be made sacred. When you approach your work with mindfulness, with intention, and with a sense of purpose, you begin to transform it from a means of simply earning a living into an opportunity for personal growth and spiritual development, realizing that every activity can be aligned with your higher purpose and can bring meaning and fulfillment to your life. This perspective transforms your work from a burden into a pathway towards greater awareness, understanding, and a direct experience of the divine. Gnostic principles, such as mindfulness, awareness, and intention, can transform your mundane activities into sacred practices, focusing your attention on the present moment and connecting with the deeper meaning behind the actions that you are performing. This allows your purpose to guide your actions and to bring a sense of joy to even the most routine tasks, therefore transforming work from something you have to do into an expression of your divine purpose. The more present you are, the more that you will discover that you are not just completing a task, but rather, you are actively creating a part of reality, and you are contributing to the collective consciousness. Finding your unique calling and contributing your gifts to the world with passion, joy, and compassion allows your divine spark to illuminate your path and makes your purpose crystal clear, while enabling you to make a positive impact on all of those that you interact with. This is not just about finding a job that you like, but rather, it is about discovering your unique contribution to the world and aligning your actions with your very highest values. The universe is waiting for your unique expression, your unique gifts, and your very unique presence, and the path to true fulfillment lies in your willingness to embrace your destiny. Aligning your daily work with your divine purpose requires self-reflection and introspection, and it involves asking yourself, what are your passions, what are your gifts, and what is the contribution that you wish to make to the world? Understanding that these very things can be integrated into your daily activities. Every action that you perform can become a sacred ritual if you approach it with a sense of awareness, intention, and love. This very concept transforms not only your personal experience, but also the very world around you. The more that you embrace this, the more that you will begin to find meaning in every task and in every moment. The Gnostic concept of the Bodhisattva path emphasizes the importance of serving others and helping all beings awaken from the illusion of the material world, understanding that this act is not just a matter of giving, but rather, it is a process of mutual growth and collective liberation. When you contribute to the well-being of others, you contribute to the very well-being of yourself, and when you act with love, compassion, and understanding, you help to elevate the very consciousness of all of humanity. This perspective transforms your work from a personal endeavor into a universal contribution. The more you understand that you are a part of the whole, the more that you will strive to improve the experience of everyone around you. Now, let us explore intuition as the very voice of your divine spark, and how cultivating this inner guidance becomes an invaluable tool for navigating reality and for making decisions that are aligned with your true potential and your highest good. Your intuition is not just a hunch or a gut feeling, but rather, it is a direct link to the wisdom of your pneuma, and it is the very key to unlocking the deeper knowledge that resides within you. This voice is always available to you if you are willing to listen, and it will never steer you wrong. Gnostic meditation techniques and self-reflection practices enhance your capacity to access intuitive insights and allow you to quiet your mind and to open yourself up to the wisdom that resides within. The more that you practice these methods, the more you become attuned to the subtle guidance of your intuition, and the more you will begin to make better decisions that are aligned with your purpose. By learning to listen and to trust this inner voice, you begin to unlock a deeper level of your awareness and to engage with the world in a more intentional way. This connection is always available to you and simply requires that you choose to use it. Developing your intuitive abilities requires specific exercises that emphasize mindfulness, awareness, and a heart-centered approach, and by consciously focusing your attention on your inner feelings and your subtle perceptions, you begin to strengthen your connection with your intuitive guidance, and you begin to act with more confidence and more clarity in your life. By learning to follow these subtle signals, you will always be on a path that is aligned with your highest good. Your intuition will always guide you to where you need to be. Distinguishing between true intuition and ego-based impulses requires careful self-observation, and it involves examining your motivations, your fears, and your desires, understanding that ego-based impulses are often driven by fear, insecurity, and the need for external validation, while true intuition comes from a place of love, wisdom, and alignment with your divine purpose. When you learn to recognize this difference, you will become more effective in making decisions that are based on your higher knowing, and you will be able to navigate your life with more grace, with more ease, and with more confidence. This choice is the very key to your freedom. The Gnostic concept of the pneuma, your divine spark, emphasizes that by listening to and following your inner guidance, you are always moving in alignment with your destiny and fulfilling your true purpose. Your intuition is the voice of your higher self, and it will always guide you towards the path that is meant for you. By trusting this inner knowing, you begin to embrace your role as a conscious creator, and you begin to live your life with a new sense of purpose and with a new sense of clarity. This guidance is always available to you if you choose to access it. Now let us turn our attention to the Gnostic understanding of manifestation, the process of aligning your intentions with universal consciousness, and how you can use this process to create the life that you truly desire, thus expanding upon the concept of the conscious creator. Manifestation is not about magically getting what you want, but rather, it is a very intentional process of consciously co-creating your reality with the very forces of the universe, understanding that your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs are the very tools through which you create your experience. This is a very practical application of the principles we have discussed throughout this video, and it is a pathway to achieving your true potential. Visualization, intention, belief, and emotion are the very elements of the manifestation process, using your mind to create a clear mental image of what you desire, aligning your intention with that desire, believing that it is already a reality, and feeling the emotions associated with that reality. When all of these aspects are aligned, you create a very powerful energetic force that begins to attract your desires into your experience. This process is not a passive one, but rather, it is a very deliberate practice of aligning your inner world with your outer experience. This is the key to consciously shaping your destiny. Using affirmations and creative visualization is another pathway towards manifestation, where you repeatedly state positive declarations that reinforce your desired reality, and you use your imagination to create vivid and detailed images of what you want to manifest. By programming your subconscious mind with new, empowering beliefs, you begin to attract the very experiences that are aligned with those beliefs, and you create a map of the world that you wish to see, and slowly, the world will begin to align with that map. Overcoming self-doubt and negative beliefs that hinder manifestation is the most important step in the process, recognizing that your inner world must be changed first if you wish to change your outer world, which means that you must consciously identify and release all of the limiting beliefs that prevent you from fully embracing your power. When you address these internal blockages, you clear the path for the manifestation of your desires, and you free yourself from the shackles of self-limitation. This internal process is the most important step for external manifestation. The Gnostic understanding of the quantum field demonstrates that your thoughts and intentions affect the very fabric of reality, and that you are always creating and co-creating with all that is. This understanding transforms you from a passive observer into an active participant in the cosmic dance of creation, and it empowers you to take full responsibility for your own life. The universe is not something that happens to you, but rather, it is something that you create with every single thought, every single emotion, and every single action. This reality is always available to you. Now let us explore the Gnostic perspective on death, as it is not an end, but rather a transition from the material to the spiritual realm, demystifying this idea and giving it a new context. The fear of death is a powerful tool of control, and it is one that keeps you trapped in the cycle of the demiurge, and when you understand the true nature of death, you begin to break free from its grip and to live a life that is free from fear. Death is not something to be dreaded, but rather, it is something to be embraced as a transition from one state of consciousness into another. This perspective transforms death from a dark and somber event into an experience of liberation and a return to your true home. Gnostic teachings address the idea of the soul's journey after death, understanding that your material body is only a temporary vessel, and that your soul continues its journey beyond the physical realm, and that this soul is not simply a part of you, but rather, it is your true essence, and it will continue to exist beyond the limits of time and space. The understanding that your soul exists beyond the material body helps you to see death as a transition, not as an end. Your experience of life does not end with the death of your body, but rather, it is a continuation into another realm of experience. By understanding the cyclical nature of life and death, and that all things are constantly transformed and recycled, you overcome your fear of death and embrace the continuous flow of consciousness as life and death become a part of a single, eternal cycle where consciousness transforms from one form into another. This perspective helps you to embrace the impermanence of all things and to find peace in the constant change of the universe. Everything that exists is constantly in a state of flux, transforming into another form. Preparing for your own death and supporting your loved ones during their transition is a very valuable practice, as it provides you with an opportunity for deeper spiritual understanding and acceptance. When you embrace death as a natural part of life, and when you remove the fear, you transform it into an experience of liberation and a reunion with the source, and you begin to understand your true nature as a spiritual being having a physical experience. This understanding changes how you approach the end of life and the opportunity for deeper growth. The Gnostic concept of the pleroma, the source of all being, emphasizes that death is a return to the source and an opportunity to merge with the divine, and that, when you leave your physical body, you return to the undifferentiated unity of the pleroma, where you reunite with all that is. This perspective transforms death from a source of fear into a very welcome experience that you can approach with peace and with a sense of acceptance. This return to the source is the ultimate goal of your spiritual journey, and it is the very promise of liberation for all those that choose to embrace it. Finally, let us acknowledge that the journey of self-realization is an ongoing process, not a destination, and that it requires continuous dedication and self-awareness with the goal to integrate the very principles that we have discussed into your daily lives, so that these concepts become a part of how you live, not just how you think. You are a constant work in progress, and every moment is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to develop into your highest potential. This perspective allows you to embrace all aspects of your journey, even the difficult ones, as all moments are part of a grander plan. The most important step now is to integrate all of these Gnostic principles into your daily life so that you can experience lasting transformation, using them as a lens through which you engage with the world and making them the very foundation of your conscious choices. Each concept builds upon the other, and all of them are equally essential to this process of growth and development. This is not just about information, but rather it's about transformation, and applying the concepts that you have learned today will change your entire experience of the world. Continue to explore Gnostic teachings, to research esoteric wisdom, and to delve deeper into the depths of your own inner awareness, never ceasing your quest for truth, understanding, and higher consciousness. The path forward is not always easy, but when you are committed, you will continue to grow, you will continue to learn, and you will continue to transform into your very highest potential. The more that you commit, the more you will understand that this journey of self-discovery is the most important thing you can do in your life. The Gnostic perspective has the power to transform your entire experience of reality, and the very principles that we have discussed have the power to transform your life from one of fear, struggle, and suffering into one of peace, joy, and empowerment. By embracing the wisdom of the Gnostics, you step into your role as a conscious creator, and you reclaim your divine inheritance. And when you step into this power, you become capable of changing your own destiny. You are now ready to step into your role as a conscious creator, to use your intention, your awareness, and your compassion to create the reality that you have always desired. You have the power to shape your own destiny, to transform your world, and to liberate yourself from the very chains of ignorance. Are you ready to take that step? Now, as you consciously step into your role as a creator, understand that the activation of your light body, often referred to as the Merkaba or subtle body, is not merely an esoteric concept, but a tangible vehicle for your spiritual ascension and a pivotal element in the journey of Gnostic initiation. This radiant form, an energetic matrix that surrounds your physical being, acts as a conduit, connecting your divine essence, your pneuma, with the higher frequencies of consciousness, and it is through the activation and strengthening of this light body that you begin to transcend the limitations of the material realm. Have you ever considered that your physical form is but one expression of your existence, and that there is a vast universe of energy that surrounds you that you can actively engage with? Through focused meditation, deliberate visualization, and specific energy work, you can begin to ignite this dormant potential, transforming your energetic field and aligning it with the very frequencies of the pleroma itself. This process is not a passive reception, but rather an active participation in the very unfolding of your spiritual potential, and it is through this engagement that you begin to reclaim your divine inheritance. Specific Gnostic practices designed to activate your light body involve the conscious manipulation of your subtle energies through controlled breathing, focused meditation, and the visualization of geometric patterns and sacred symbols, all designed to stimulate the chakras and nadis, the energy centers and channels that flow throughout your being, allowing you to access your higher potential. The regular practice of these techniques transforms your energy field, allowing it to vibrate at a higher frequency, and therefore enabling you to perceive reality through a wider lens and to access levels of awareness that were previously beyond your grasp. When you engage in this inner work, you are not simply affecting your personal experience, but you are actively contributing to the collective consciousness, and you are helping to elevate all of humanity. Through the conscious activation of your light body, you bridge the seemingly impassable gap between the physical world and the limitless expanse of the spiritual realm, therefore establishing direct communication with your higher self and initiating communion with the pleroma, the source of all being. This is not just a concept, but a palpable reality that awaits your conscious engagement. Consider now how the concept of the light body seamlessly integrates with other esoteric teachings, from traditions like Hermeticism and the Kabbalah that also refer to the aura, the chakras, and the subtle energy systems that permeate all of existence, reflecting a common understanding of the human energy field, and how all of them see it as a pathway to higher consciousness. This is not about separate traditions, but rather various expressions of a common truth, and the activation of the light body transcends all cultural boundaries and becomes an entry point to the vast ocean of cosmic consciousness. The more that you explore these systems, the more that you will realize that they are all expressions of the same underlying reality, and the more that you engage with them, the more that you will unlock your inherent wisdom. The understanding of the light body is not just a theory, but a very practical method that can be used to transform your experience of reality. Are you ready to harness this power within you? Let us now turn our attention to Gnostic numerology and sacred geometry, not as abstract concepts, but as the very keys to unlocking the universal codes and to deepening your understanding of the underlying structure of existence. Because as we delve deeper, you will come to understand how numbers and their symbolic significance are not mere mathematical tools, but rather, they are the very language of creation, the fundamental code upon which reality is built. In the Gnostic view, each number possesses a unique vibration and meaning, reflecting deeper archetypal patterns and cosmological principles, and through the conscious study of numerology and sacred geometry, you are not simply learning symbols, but rather, you are directly engaging with the very essence of reality itself. Have you ever considered that the numbers that you use every day have a deeper meaning, and that they are not just arbitrary symbols, but rather, they are doorways to deeper understanding? The Gnostic texts reveal that specific numbers are intricately linked to the creation of the cosmos and to the actions of the demiurge, and understanding their deeper significance is crucial for unraveling the very fabric of the material world and the forces that seek to control you, because as you learn to interpret these codes, you will become more aware of the hidden patterns and the underlying structures that shape your experiences. You will begin to see beyond the surface appearance of reality, and you will start to understand the deeper forces at play. This knowledge will empower you to navigate your world with greater awareness and to understand your place within it. The more you engage in this process, the more that the deeper patterns will be revealed to you. Numbers are not just symbols, but they are keys that can open doorways to higher levels of consciousness. As practical tools for transformation, numerology and sacred geometry provide you with very powerful methods for meditation, visualization, and ritual work. And by contemplating the symbolic meanings of numbers, and by visualizing geometric patterns, you begin to activate dormant potentials, and you open pathways to new dimensions of awareness. Your subconscious mind understands these patterns on a deeper level, and it is through this interaction that you begin to unlock your inherent wisdom and to connect with the very essence of your being. The practices of Gnostic numerology and sacred geometry are not just abstract intellectual exercises, but rather, they are the very methods for engaging with the universe on a fundamental level. These are not just symbols, but rather, they are keys that can open your mind to higher levels of understanding. Consider also that Gnostic architecture, art, and literature were deliberately designed to encode these very principles, embedding hidden messages and activating dormant potentials within the subconscious mind, and that even the simple act of witnessing these patterns can initiate a profound transformation on an energetic level. The ancient Gnostics understood that reality was not just an external experience, but rather, it was also an internal reflection, and they deliberately embedded their knowledge into the very structures of their creations. The deeper you delve into these structures, the more you will begin to understand their true significance, and the more that you will understand the nature of reality itself. Even today, the power of these patterns is still accessible to you if you choose to engage with them, and the more that you learn, the more that will be revealed. Even modern science supports the significance of numbers and geometric patterns, discovering that these are fundamental to the structure of the universe, from the subatomic level to the cosmic scale, and revealing that the ancient Gnostics understood something very profound about the nature of reality thousands of years ago. And they were able to encode their understanding into their very texts and their creations. The more that you explore the relationship between science and spirituality, the more that you will understand that both are simply pathways towards a greater understanding of existence, and that both are describing the same unified reality in their own ways. This is not just a theory, but rather, it is a fundamental truth about the nature of our universe. Are you ready to decode these patterns and engage with the hidden nature of reality? Now let us explore the Gnostic perspective on angels, demons, and archons, not as external entities, but as representations of varying energetic forces, and as expressions of the very dynamics within our own consciousness, so that you can understand the internal landscape that you are working with, and begin to engage with these forces in a way that promotes growth and liberation. In Gnostic thought, these forces are not simply good or evil, but rather they exist along a spectrum of energies, each with its own unique vibrational frequency that are always influencing your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. By understanding the dynamics of these forces, you gain a greater understanding of the internal world that you are navigating and the energetic forces that influence your reality. Have you ever considered that the demons and angels that you read about in ancient texts are actually representations of your own internal landscape, and that they are the very forces with which you are engaging with every moment? Gnostic texts reveal that the archons are not independent entities, but rather they are extensions of the demiurge's consciousness, and that they are responsible for maintaining the illusion of separation, and for perpetuating the cycle of suffering, and that through manipulation and deception, they exert a subtle yet powerful influence over human consciousness, keeping you trapped in ignorance and in the very illusion of the material world. By understanding their methods and their motivations, you begin to see beyond their illusions, and you become empowered to resist their influence and to step into your true potential. The more you know about these forces, the more capable you will become in navigating their attempts to manipulate you. However, do not fall into the trap of believing that you are powerless against these forces, because within you lies a very powerful divine spark, the pneuma, that can counteract these very influences, not through conflict or violence, but rather through awareness, self-mastery, and the conscious activation of your own light body. This is not about fighting an external enemy, but rather, it is about awakening your internal power and allowing the very light of your consciousness to dispel the darkness. You are not a victim in this cosmic game, but rather, you are a powerful creator, and you have all of the very tools that you need to overcome these forces. When you truly understand your power, you become an unstoppable force. Specific Gnostic practices for neutralizing negative energetic influences include the conscious use of discernment, the activation of protective energies through meditation and visualization, and the understanding of your emotional landscape that will provide you with the tools that you need to navigate these forces. And when you practice these techniques, you develop an inner strength that allows you to resist the very manipulation that these forces often employ, and you will be better equipped to protect your energy and to make choices that are aligned with your highest good. These practices are always available to you, and with consistent effort, you will become increasingly adept at using them. The choice of engaging in this work is up to you. This understanding of energetic dynamics also connects to the Gnostic view of the unified field, emphasizing that all entities and forces are interconnected expressions of consciousness, and when you change your inner landscape, you are therefore influencing the entire collective experience. Your personal energy field is not isolated, but rather, it is part of a vast interconnected web that encompasses all of existence, and by taking full responsibility for your own energy, you are positively impacting the whole of humanity. This is not a passive process, but rather, it is a very active engagement with the very nature of reality, and it is through this understanding that you will begin to shape a more harmonious world. Your capacity to change your internal world is your most effective method for changing the world at large. Let us now delve into the Gnostic techniques for lucid dreaming and astral projection, not as fantastical concepts, but as very potent tools for exploring the non-physical realms of consciousness that allow you to break free from the limitations of the material world and to engage with dimensions of experience that exist beyond your everyday perception. By consciously cultivating your awareness within the dream state, you are able to access valuable insights and to engage with other realms of consciousness, and by intentionally projecting your awareness outside your physical body, you gain access to the astral realm and other subtle dimensions of reality. These are not just esoteric practices, but rather, they are very real possibilities that you can explore through conscious engagement. Have you ever wondered if the world that you perceive with your physical senses is all that exists, and what possibilities await you in the other realms of consciousness? Gnostic practices for cultivating awareness in the dream state involve techniques such as reality checks, intention setting, and focused attention, where you consciously question whether you are dreaming or not. And when you develop this level of awareness in your waking life, you can then carry it over into your dream state, and you can then begin to explore this hidden world with a new sense of awareness. Lucid dreaming provides you with an access point to your subconscious mind and to dimensions of experience that may be previously unknown to you, thus bridging the gap between your conscious and your unconscious awareness. These are not just dreams, but rather they are portals to deeper understanding. The Gnostic concept of astral projection involves the deliberate separation of your consciousness from your physical body and the exploration of the subtle realms, where you gain access to knowledge and experience that are not available through ordinary perception. When you consciously project your awareness, you are able to transcend the limitations of time and space, and you are able to connect with other dimensions of reality and to engage with spiritual entities and to expand your understanding of the universe. Astral projection is not just a mental exercise, but rather, it is an exploration of the very fabric of reality itself. This is a powerful way of directly experiencing the non-physical nature of existence. Specific techniques for enhancing lucid dreaming and astral travel include meditation, visualization, and the cultivation of a clear intention before sleep, where you consciously set your goals and actively prepare your mind for exploration. And the more you practice these techniques, the more adept you will become at accessing these states of consciousness. And the more that you will understand the nature of reality itself. These are not just passive experiences, but rather, they are a very active engagement with your own consciousness. The more that you work at these skills, the more powerful they will become. These concepts align with the Gnostic understanding of transcending the limitations of the material world, demonstrating that your consciousness is not bound by your physical body, and that you have the very ability to explore different levels of reality, and that by consciously engaging with these different dimensions, you are not just accessing new experiences, but you are actively developing your pneuma, and you are reclaiming your true spiritual potential. Your consciousness is limitless, and through practices such as astral travel, you begin to connect with the infinite expanse of your being, and you will begin to understand your nature beyond the physical. These are not just ideas, but rather, they are a direct experience of your own potential. Now let us examine the Gnostic view of karma, reincarnation, and the very cycle of liberation, not as a system of punishment, but rather as a journey of continual learning and the refinement of the very soul, and that the experiences that you encounter are opportunities for growth, and that the choices that you make determine your very path forward. Your present circumstances are not random events, but rather they are the very result of your previous actions and your thoughts, and it is through your conscious engagement with the present that you can shape your future experiences. This understanding transforms the idea of karma from a fatalistic concept into an opportunity for empowerment and personal responsibility. Have you ever considered that the challenges that you face are not arbitrary, but rather they are a part of a larger pattern of growth, and that you have the power to change the course of your future? Gnostic teachings reveal that your actions, thoughts, and intentions from previous lives shape your current experiences, and that while this concept can seem like an unending cycle, that it is not a limitation, but rather it is a mechanism for continued growth and development, and that your choices have the potential to either bind you to the material world or to free you from the cycle of suffering. You are not powerless in the face of karma, but rather you have the very ability to transform your patterns and to create a path towards liberation. This understanding is the very key to taking control of your destiny. The Gnostic view of reincarnation is not a linear progression, but rather a spiral of consciousness, where each life provides an opportunity to refine your spiritual qualities and to liberate your divine spark from the grip of the material world and to reconnect with the pleroma. Each cycle is a chance to learn, to grow, and to integrate the very lessons that your soul requires for its ultimate liberation. Reincarnation is not a form of punishment, but rather it is a necessary tool for spiritual evolution. Your journey is a continuous process of transformation and self-discovery. Specific Gnostic methods for transforming karmic patterns and for breaking free from the very cycle of reincarnation involve practices such as self-reflection, emotional mastery, and the very practice of forgiveness that can release you from the negative energy of past experiences and allows you to move forward with a clear heart and a conscious intention. When you actively engage in this inner work, you become empowered to shape your path forward, and you are no longer simply reacting to the consequences of your past, but rather you are consciously creating your future. These techniques are all available to you, and when you consistently apply them, you will experience their power. This process aligns with the Gnostic idea of liberation, emphasizing that the ultimate goal is to transcend the wheel of karma and to return to the pleroma and to the source, where all things are one. The more that you integrate these teachings, the closer you will come to this realization, and the more that you will understand the very nature of your spiritual journey. Liberation is not just a concept, but rather it is a very real possibility for those who consciously engage with the path forward. These are not just words, but rather they are the very essence of the Gnostic journey. Are you ready to embark on this path of self-liberation? Let us now shift our perspective from individual transformation to the very collective impact of Gnostic principles, recognizing that your personal growth is the catalyst for collective evolution, and that your journey towards self-realization is an intrinsic part of the very process of awakening humanity, emphasizing personal responsibility for the future of not only yourself, but also the future of the planet and all life that inhabits it. The Gnostic perspective is not just an individual quest, but rather it is a movement that has the power to transform the very foundations of society. Your personal journey has a significant impact on the collective consciousness. The ideas of Gnosticism directly challenge the very foundations of contemporary societal structures, including materialistic values, hierarchical control, and the very suppression of individual freedom, and that by engaging with the principles of Gnosticism, you are stepping outside of the limitations that have been imposed upon you, and you are empowering yourself to create a better world for yourself and for all of humanity. You are not just challenging these systems, but rather you are actively dismantling them through your very conscious choices. The power to transform resides within each one of you. The Gnostic path is a path of conscious revolution, where you reclaim your power, transcend limiting belief systems, and actively co-create a more harmonious and balanced world. This is not about violence or destruction, but rather, it is about inner transformation and about the conscious creation of a better reality based on the principles of love, compassion, and understanding. This is a revolution of consciousness, and it is a revolution of the heart, and you are the catalyst for this very change. Specific examples of how Gnostic thought can inspire social change and address modern issues are numerous, and they include a focus on conscious consumption, the promotion of social justice, the understanding of our connection with the earth, and the active creation of communities that are based on equality and mutual support. These are not just abstract ideals, but rather, they are very practical applications of Gnostic thought that have the power to transform the very world that we inhabit. You are not just a passive observer, but rather, you are an active participant in the healing of the planet. By connecting these teachings to the very challenges of our time, we can see that we have the ability to transform our world through the very power of collective consciousness, and that when individuals make a conscious choice to awaken their own potential, this creates a ripple effect that transforms all of humanity. You are not alone on this journey, and when you come together with others who are aligned with this purpose, you amplify your power and your ability to transform the world around you. Your collective effort is the key to creating lasting change, and now is the time to embrace this understanding. Now let us consider the role of the Gnostic initiate and understand that this is not an exclusive title, but rather, it is a description of one who has consciously awakened their divine spark, and who has taken on the responsibility of becoming a beacon of light and a catalyst for transformation in the world. As a Gnostic initiate, you do not just focus on your personal growth, but rather, you become an active participant in the very process of awakening all of humanity, and it is through this act of service that you further accelerate your own spiritual development. The transformation of the world begins with your very transformation, and the role of the initiate is to act as a living example of this truth. Are you ready to step into your role as an agent of change and to become an inspiration to others? The qualities of a Gnostic initiate include profound awareness, unwavering self-mastery, genuine compassion, and a deep commitment to serving the highest good, and these qualities are not simply abstract virtues, but rather, they are the very expressions of your divine nature, and when you integrate these into your life, you become a vessel of divine light that illuminates the path for others. And that promotes collective evolution. The more that you embody these qualities, the more effective you will become as a catalyst for change. This is not just a personal journey, but rather, it is a universal mission. The Gnostic initiate not only continues to pursue their own spiritual growth, but also takes decisive action to create a world that is more aligned with justice, balance, and compassion, and that this path is not just an internal quest, but rather, it is a direct engagement with the world that seeks to heal the wounds of suffering and to create a more equitable society. Your journey becomes a pathway for helping others, and your actions have a profound influence on the world around you. The more that you understand this, the more effectively you will serve. Specific methods for sharing this knowledge and for helping others to awaken include conscious communication, compassionate action, and the power of your very example that will illuminate the path forward and will guide others towards the path of self-discovery. You are not just sharing information, but rather, you are providing inspiration and a possibility for transformation, and it is through these methods that you will become a force for positive change. This is the very essence of the Bodhisattva path, and this is the key to collective liberation. This understanding of the Gnostic initiate connects to the path of the Bodhisattva, which emphasizes that the most effective way to transform the world is by first transforming yourself. and that when you fully embrace your own divinity, you empower others to do the same, and you will become a mirror, reflecting the potential of every human being, and you will become a beacon of light that guides the way towards a better world. The transformation of the world begins with your very transformation, and this is the responsibility that we all share. Are you ready to embrace this path of service and to become a catalyst for positive change? Finally, let us embrace the very power of this moment through a final activation and empowerment, as you now hold within you the key to awakening your divine spark, breaking free from the illusion of the material world and becoming a very conscious co-creator of reality, and that you are no longer a passive observer, but rather you are an active participant in the grand cosmic dance of existence. The power to transform your life has always resided within you, and now you have the very tools and the very understanding that you need to claim your divine inheritance and to fulfill your purpose. Are you ready to take the final step and claim your destiny? Let us now engage in a final meditation and a visualization technique designed to activate your light body and align you with the very frequencies of the pleroma, using the power of your intention to fully engage with these concepts and to integrate these teachings into the very fabric of your being, allowing you to directly experience the reality that we have been discussing. Visualize the light emanating from your heart, expanding outwards until it encompasses your entire being, and then expanding outwards further until it connects to the very source of all being, allowing you to feel the connection that binds us all together. The power of transformation is always accessible to you if you choose to engage with it. By embracing these Gnostic principles, you open the door to a life of purpose, joy, and fulfillment, aligning your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions with your true divine nature. This path is not a destination, but rather it is an ongoing process of discovery and transformation, where every moment becomes an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to connect with the very essence of your being. The possibilities for growth are endless, and the journey towards liberation is always available to you. The choice is yours. The knowledge that you have gained today carries with it a responsibility to use your very gifts and your very talents for the betterment of all of humanity, and to consciously create a world that is more aligned with the very principles of love, compassion, and truth. This is not just an individual journey, but rather it is a collective mission, and your actions have a very powerful influence on the evolution of the planet. This is your time to shine and to step into your very highest potential. This culmination of all of the ideas that we have discussed brings us back to the central theme of this video, empowering you to step into your divine potential and to claim your role as a very conscious co-creator of your own unique experience. And now, as you have embarked on this journey, you are prepared to engage with the world in a new way and to become the very embodiment of the Gnostic ideal, and to embrace your role as a catalyst for change and to create a better world for all. Your journey is just beginning, and the path forward is paved with endless possibilities. The power is within you now. Do you choose to use it? Now, as you stand at the precipice of this deeper understanding, remember that the very core of Gnostic thought is the unshakable realization that the material world, with all its apparent solidity and its deceptive limitations, is nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion, a shadow play projected by the demiurge, designed to keep you from recognizing your true divine nature. And that the real world, the pleroma, exists within your own consciousness, a boundless realm of light and infinite potential that awaits your conscious exploration and your active participation. This truth is not just an abstract concept, but rather it is a very practical foundation upon which to build a life of liberation and self-mastery. The implications of this one understanding have the power to transform your entire perception of reality. The concepts of the pleroma, the source of all being, the pneuma, your divine spark within, the demiurge, the flawed creator of this material world, the archons, the forces that maintain the illusion and the importance of gnosis, the direct knowing of truth, are not just ancient ideas, but rather they are powerful tools that you can use to navigate this world of illusion and to awaken your divine potential. And that each one of these concepts provides a pathway for your own personal transformation and allows you to understand the dynamics of reality on a much deeper level. It is not enough to simply understand these concepts intellectually. They must be lived. They must be integrated into the very fabric of your being, and it is through this process that you will find liberation. These are not just ideas, but rather they are keys that unlock the doorways to your own true potential. The power of your individual intention, your conscious awareness, and your ability to actively create your reality are not just theoretical possibilities, but rather they are the very foundation upon which you can shape your personal experience, and that by directing your focus, your thoughts, and your emotions, you can transform your world. And you can align your life with the highest potential of your soul. You are not a victim of fate or circumstance, but rather you are a powerful co-creator of your own destiny, and when you fully embrace this truth, you become an unstoppable force. Your intention is the very brush with which you paint the canvas of your own reality. The Gnostic path emphasizes self-reflection, meditation, and inner work as the most essential steps on the journey to liberation, and that through focused awareness, you can begin to pierce through the illusion of the material world and activate your divine spark, breaking free from the demiurge's control system. And when you dedicate yourself to this path of inner discovery, you are not just simply transforming your life, but rather you are contributing to the collective awakening of humanity. These are not just practices, but rather they are doorways to liberation and to the realization of your own divine potential. The choice to engage in this process is always available to you. The activation of your light body, the conscious control of your own energy, and the awakening of your divine spark are not separate concepts, but rather they are all interconnected parts of a single path towards self-mastery and individual empowerment. And when you understand the relationship between these practices, you will realize that they work together to accelerate your spiritual evolution. And that when you combine these techniques, you begin to unlock an immense power within, and you become a force of transformation in your own life and in the very world around you. This is not just a theory, but rather it is a very practical system for liberation. This is your birthright, and now is the time to reclaim it. The teachings of Gnosticism are not isolated or unique, but rather they are part of a very ancient and universal lineage of esoteric wisdom, and they are echoes of truths that have resonated through countless spiritual traditions for millennia. And when you understand this deeper connection, you realize that these concepts are not just limited to a single historical moment, but rather they are expressions of underlying universal principles that transcend both time and culture. These are not just ancient teachings, but rather they are timeless truths that continue to guide humanity towards awakening. This knowledge is available to all who seek it. You can discover the same core truths within Hermeticism, Kabbalah, Buddhism, Taoism, and the ancient mystery schools, all expressed in their own unique ways, with specific symbols and practices, but all pointing to the same understanding, the same realization, and the same path towards liberation, showing that there is a universal understanding that transcends cultural boundaries and historical contexts. That these teachings are not separate, but rather they are various pathways up the same mountain. This understanding further reinforces the truth of Gnostic teachings and demonstrates that you are not alone on this journey. This shared wisdom is the very foundation upon which humanity can unite. This hidden knowledge has been passed down through secret societies and esoteric orders for countless generations, preserving the very core principles of Gnostic thought through coded texts, symbolic rituals, and initiatory practices, ensuring that the flame of this knowledge would not be extinguished. and when you understand the very history of this hidden knowledge, you realize the importance of engaging with these teachings in the modern world and the very power that lies within each of you. These are not just esoteric secrets, but rather they are the key to liberating humanity from the illusion of ignorance. The choice to engage with this knowledge is yours. The enduring relevance of Gnostic teachings is clear in their ability to address contemporary challenges, such as the spread of misinformation, the power of control structures, and the desperate need for both personal and collective transformation, and that by understanding the mechanisms of the demiurge and the very manipulations of the archons, you are better equipped to navigate the deceptive narratives that are being presented to you and to actively create a world based on truth and on compassion. And it is through this understanding that you reclaim your agency and become an active force for positive change. These challenges are not new, but rather they are reoccurring patterns, and now you have the very wisdom to overcome them. Gnosticism is not just a historical phenomenon, but rather it is a dynamic path towards self-realization that can be implemented in the here and now to guide the actions that you take and the very choices that you make, and that when you embrace these teachings, you become not just an individual, but a very powerful force for positive change, and a catalyst for the transformation of society as a whole. This is not just a theory, but rather it is a call to action and to social responsibility, and you are all invited to participate in this very movement. This journey is available to all. Now let us address the initial question that has guided our exploration, the reasons why Gnosticism was actively suppressed, and the answer lies in the very power of its teachings to empower individuals, to challenge all external authorities, and to expose the mechanisms of control that have kept humanity trapped in ignorance and in suffering for millennia, and that these forces fear those that awaken. And they will do anything in their power to prevent you from discovering your true potential. It is this very fear that has been the reason for the suppression of Gnostic knowledge, and this knowledge has the power to shatter the illusion. Now, you have the power to reclaim it. The apparent tension between the material world and the spiritual realm is not a conflict, but rather it is a dance of opposites, where both components are interconnected, and they are both necessary for the experience of consciousness. And when you understand this interconnectedness, you learn how to navigate both realms with greater awareness and greater skill. And you are then able to use the material world as a very powerful tool for your spiritual evolution and as an opportunity for creative expression. The material world is not something to be rejected, but rather it is something to be understood and to be transformed through conscious engagement. The path forward is always a path of balance. The Gnostic view of good and evil does not present these as external forces, but rather as expressions of your own very choices and your actions, and that by making conscious decisions that are based on love and compassion and truth, you can shift your internal landscape and influence the external reality that you experience, and that you are not at the mercy of fate or circumstance, but rather you are the master of your destiny and the creator of your experience. This understanding empowers you to make choices that are more aligned with your highest potential. The power to choose is always available to you. You are not a victim of circumstance, but rather you are an active participant in the creation of your reality, and when you fully embrace this responsibility, you step into your true power, and you realize that your life is not just something that happens to you, but rather it is something that you create, and that you can consciously shape through your intention, your awareness, and your choices. And it is this understanding that liberates you from the illusion of powerlessness and allows you to claim your inherent potential. Your destiny is in your own hands, and now is the time to choose it. Now let the tension finally dissolve, as you now realize that you have the power to break free from the very control of the demiurge, to reclaim your divine inheritance, and to consciously co-create your destiny, and that this is not just an intellectual concept, but rather it is a very real possibility that awaits your conscious engagement and through the practices that we have explored. You have now been given the keys to unlocking your full potential and to transforming your life and to contributing to the collective awakening of humanity, and now you have all of the very tools that you need to fulfill your purpose. This is the moment that you have been waiting for, and now you are ready. But now new questions arise, and they call you forward, inviting continued exploration of the Gnostic teachings and their very practical implications, and that this journey is not just about understanding, but also about implementation, and that the more that you apply these principles to your life, the more you will understand their depth and their transformative power, and that these questions will lead you down many pathways of self-discovery and will bring you closer to a deeper understanding of your own nature. This is not the end of the journey, but rather it is the beginning of a new phase of exploration. You will discover a fascinating intersection between Gnostic insights, modern science, the studies of consciousness, and countless other fields of research, and that these ancient ideas are echoed in contemporary understandings of quantum physics and the nature of reality, and that when you explore these very connections, you realize that the Gnostics had a profound understanding of the universe that is just now being rediscovered. This is not a matter of faith, but rather it is a scientific exploration of consciousness. This knowledge transcends time and culture. I urge you to delve deeper into the specific Gnostic texts, their rituals, their symbols, and their esoteric practices, and that by doing so, you will gain a more intimate understanding of this wisdom tradition, and that your continued studies will help to clarify your questions and will give you the tools that you need to progress on this very path. This exploration is a continuous process of self-discovery, and your dedication to it will reveal countless new opportunities for growth. Your journey is always available to you. I am excited to announce that I will be creating future content that will explore specific aspects of Gnosticism, including in-depth dives into the rituals, meditations, and deeper esoteric practices designed to further your understanding and to provide you with the practical tools that you need to integrate these teachings into your daily life. And I invite you to join me on this continuing journey, to delve further into the hidden mysteries that have been revealed and to unlock your full potential. There is much more to discover, and this is only the beginning. And finally, I leave you with a final message of empowerment, emphasizing the importance of continuing on the path of self-realization, and that the very key to unlocking your true potential lies within your own consciousness, and that through your dedication, your awareness, and your choices, you can create a life that is aligned with your very highest good. And I hope that through our exploration today, that you are now equipped to step into your power and to become the conscious creator of your own destiny. The path forward is yours to choose, so choose wisely and with intention. And until next time.